pick. So they could look for it, but maybe it's something that they don't play themselves, and that's one of the big reasons that they wanted it banned as well. But they are just going to lock that on in. So this is what Hazard has identified as the counter to the Rona. Now they can show us if that will be the case or not. They ban away the Taka because Taka is very good into the Skye pickup. And so this is a very, very interesting start to this draft.
Basically, the entire draft has revolved around this Rona pickup so far, both in terms of getting that in the first place and also trying to counter that pick out. Now, Alpha taken off the board, and Hazard probably going to lean towards a captain now, since basically everything has been focused on those carries and junglers so far.
Yeah, the only thing that wasn't focused towards the carrier jungler was the Lyra ban, and then they go ahead and take the Arden for themselves as well. So as of right now, Hazard, you got to figure they're feeling pretty good about the way this draft has started. They've gotten what they feel is the counter to the Rona. They banned away the counter to the Skye. They've got themselves the strongest captain left in the game according to many teams on this update. So definitely a strong beginning, a strong first half of the draft.
Absolutely, and now we'll see what Gangstars are going to answer with. As we've got that Arden and Skye on Hazard. They need to figure out how they're going to bolster this Rona pickup and how they're going to support that going on into the fights. And apparently the answer is going to be a Grace in the hands of Mac Daddy B. The extra sustain, the extra healing and protection that Grace offers to Arona could certainly be a huge factor in these fights.
Not only that, but a little bit of extra crowd control as well. You know, the Holy Novas, while it's mostly luck, but if you can manage to pop a Skye while she's mid-Suri Strike going over a Holy Nova, that's amazing for the team. But there's also the fact that you can provide slows to onto the enemy team so that your teammates can move up faster. The damage reduction shields that come through are very strong. I like the Grace pickup here. And again, pairing it with the Rona is just a very, very strong utility.
Certainly is, and just 10 seconds left to select what they want to take on into that jungle. Or maybe it'll be a Rona in the jungle. Seems unlikely to me, though. It is going to be the Petal, so still fairly flexible for them.
Yeah, I mean, even though we haven't seen it, we've talked about it a little bit, there is the potential for a CP Rona. It's not, I would expect with what they have here to be a Crystal Petal in the jungle with a weapon Rona in the lane, but there is a window of opportunity for them to switch it up and run the Petal as a weapon laner and the CP Rona to come out just to try and shake things up. Maybe knowing that the Skye is very strong into the weapon Rona, maybe they try and switch it up that way. The CP Rona, it's not a joke. It is actually a very, very strong pick. But it is going to be Team Hazard finishing off with a Black Feather. This is pretty much what they've grabbed whenever they don't have the Rona available to them. They've fallen back to this Black Feather almost every draft.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that they're going with that Black Feather as well, picking actually into a Rona. So I'm excited to see how these teams are going to position themselves in terms of the roles and who gets what, because both of these sides of the board right now, you can swap the junglers and carries around and you can play them both CP and weapon power. So there's a lot of flexibility in both of these compositions coming on in. What are you expecting to see out of both these teams, Bacon?
I would expect to see a weapon Rona with a Crystal Petal, and then I would expect Hazard to answer with the weapon Skye and the Crystal Black Feather, because running the weapon Black Feather into a weapon Rona is just asking for trouble. And if you have the weapon Skye, yes, you do rely much more on your basic attacks and such, but you have that built-in slow on the forward barrage. And I think that's one of the keys to trying to deal with the Rona is going to be having that slow.
All right, being able to count that one out. And obviously you can dance around with the speed boost from your auto attacks as well. We'll see if that's going to come into play. Who are we expected to be aggressive on this one then? Who's going to be setting the tempo for this game?
And that's a tough one. I think it's going to be one of the situations where both sides are not necessarily all in aggression on the early game, but they're both going to be trying to feel each other out. If they see what they perceive to be an opportunity, will then try and jump on it. But because both teams are doing that, it's going to end up looking like both sides are being very aggressive in the early game, but really it's just going to be about trying to find the opportunities to get even just a small advantage. It's going to be about taking those small advantages and just continuously growing on them.
So this could be an incredibly messy game between these two teams, and this is an incredibly important game for both of these two teams as well. Don't forget, this is a best of 5 to decide who will be eliminated from the challenge battles and who gets another chance at getting into the Vainglory 8. Hashtag Vainglory 8 to let us know who you are supporting as we jump on into our second best of 5 here in North America. Let's pass it back to Humanist and Denominate.
Well, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have Gangstars versus Team Hazard. An absolute hype beast team here. Unbelievable performance in this last best of 5 as they 3-0 Echo Fox. Now, a different story is upon us, Denominate, as Gangstars have loaded into the fold. How do we expect this to play out?
Well, Gangstars is a team that, is a little bit of a newer formed roster, maybe not having the best success they've had in the past, but I have to say, Lulu and Mac Daddy have made massive improvements the further the season has went on, and this is a team that you have to take seriously. It does look like it's going to be a Weapon Sky in the lane and a Crystal Blackfeather in the jungle, and I think this makes the most sense because of just how effective Petal can be at shutting down a Crystal Sky's forward barrage. It gives too much time for the rest of the team to kind of coordinate around it.
Yeah.
Whereas, with the Weapon Sky, you kind of dance around the fight and get those attacks. Oh!
Speaking of dancing, it's time to dance! Hello, Kitty, taking a lot of damage. Naisu lit up as well. Had to use the Healing Flask. Mac Daddy B on the front line for his team. As Gangstars applying a little bit of pressure here.
Yeah, now they're looking for this Elder Treant, but can they take it safely? Erica Kane's coming down, not quite in time. So that's Gangstars taking a little bit of an advantage early, but actually the gold lead right now is in favor of Hazard, but that's because Lulu hasn't been able to farm up this massive wave that he has waiting for him.
Ooh, Xenotech and Mac Daddy B moving in, looking to invade the jungle. Now Erica gonna get that on point, able to get the last hit. Now Xenotech, you're in a bad place, bud. Trampoline's back, he's got the Healing Flask. He's trading with Erica. Erica dropping low. Xenotech as well with it. Hello, Kitty! And a little forward barrage, so they trade 1 for 1 now. Mac Daddy B boosts himself out with his boots to get out of the danger from Hello Kitty and Naisu. It looks like Hello Kitty's going to even continue to chase now. He knows the Mac Daddy B. He hasn't used his Healing Flask just yet. Mac Daddy B, a nice timing there. He brought him right into the clutches of Lulu. Lulu forced to drop down. Nice little Vanguard. They're going to chase onto Lulu now. So just kind of bringing around the Rosie here. Mac Daddy B, he reveals himself with the Benediction. Going to come in. A little Retribution as well. But Naisu kicks him in the face. Puts him down. Naisu shot. Able to get the second kill for Hazard. Lulu will secure the mid there with Xenotech, so a nice play eventually to thwart the aggression from Hazard.
Yeah, Hazard turned things around very quickly. It is both kills, including First Blood, going on to Naisu, who is apparently the sole hyper carry that Hazard needs here to try to get onto this Petal. Eric Kane obviously in the jungle, maybe a little bit caught out here.
Erica, you're in a bad place, bud. That's going to be the holy no that'll lock him up, set it up for Xenotech to find a tasty little treat. Now, Xenotech can do whatever he wants. He's going to go ahead and start up here on the mid camp. It's going to give him a little bit of regeneration. And of course, that golden experience in his pocket. Naisu hanging out in that kind of surprise brush. And Xenotech able to take one of the backs. Holy Nova will find the stun. Oh, man, nice. Able to grab all of these camps here. A huge win. Lulu even making the rotation down from the lane as there's really no lane pressure. This Weapon Sky not the greatest at clearing out waves early on.
No, not at all, but can definitely bring a lot to a team fight later on in the game. We've obviously seen once Rona has used those gap closers to try to get onto this Sky, because of the Sky's natural mobility, she's able to then, kite backwards, dance around Lulu, gain movement speed, and it makes it very difficult for the Rona to keep up. Now, if chasing directly away, Hello Kitty does suffer a little bit of a speed loss, potential at least, but as long as you're kiting around the fight, you are very, very fast actually on Sky. And now Xenotech looking to come in.
Xenotech just flexing up in the lane, showing them how incredibly buff he is 4 minutes in on this Petal. Level 5, ready to make a little bit of aggressive maneuvers here. He's already been deep in the jungle of Hazard early on. Kind of a different story between what we saw out of Echo Fox. Gangstars definitely putting up a fight early on here.
Yeah, absolutely, and, we're going to have to, see who's the one able to come out on top in all 3 games. It was looking like Hazard, over Echo Fox. Even in that last game that was very back and forth, I still want to give the huge edge to Hazard just because they were outdrafted in that scenario, but they were able to come through with a pretty big objective lead as well. Now, up against Gangstars, we see these things starting off a little bit early, but both compositions really take a little bit of time to ramp up. Obviously, Xenotech now with the Shatterglass, though, this is where this Petal can really start to be a massive threat. The amount of damage that these Munions will do is absolutely insane, but against the Sky, again, the mobility is there. Against the Black Feather, you know, the Rose offensive will be there, and he's just going to be looking for that long poke. Erica Kane on the Black Feather, so we'll have to see how they're able to play it out. If Gangstars can make a heavy engage before Erica Kane is able to poke out a lot of damage, then they have a lot of potential in these fights.
Gangstars thinking about moving down to the Crystal Sentry, but Lulu is ready to shop. Lulu able to pick up that Serpent's Mask now. It would be a great pickup here. A little bit of sustain, a little more weapon damage coming out. And probably going into that breaking point next as we'd imagine. But up in the lane, Hello Kitty shoving that lane forward, so Lulu forced to get right back up there. Just get right back to work getting those last hits. This is Hazard just kind of doing very basic and very defensive rotations, is just keeping the pressure down, mitigating the damage. You know, they're losing a lot of the jungle, but they're doing pretty decently.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, again, this is a Challengers team versus the VG8 team. Both of these teams have something to fight for, so you have to imagine they're all putting their 100% effort into this. Hazard, obviously a team that spent so much time and so much effort coming up from the Challengers to get themselves into this position. And Gangstars, a long-time organization here in the Vainglory scene, a homegrown Vainglory organization, you know, looking to keep their spot, looking to keep their name relevant here for the 2018 season.
As Erica trying to secure his mid-camp, it's actually stolen by Xenotech. Xenotech's going to take the front as well with his buddy old pal Lulu there. Moving through the shop, no big item picks up, just kind of refreshing their items. And it's actually a Crystal Infusion put into the pocket of Xenotech. So Xenotech really ready to stand his ground if Gangstars are forced into an engagement.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, because Xeno is in the jungle, he is now level 8. There's a little bit more experience down there. And, you know, so the longer he waits, the higher level this infusion will get.
Oh.
Erica Kane!
Erica getting lit up. Xenotech, was that 2 spontaneous combustion? Nearly taking Erica down there. You gotta respect the Petal at this point.
Oh, yeah. Xeno has a ton of damage, but looks like we might have a... oh, no, Lulu. Waiting for some minions to come up, waiting for the wave to get pushed. And now, all 3 members of Gangstars are here, but here comes Erica Kane.
Erica?
Can't finish out the jungle farm too low.
I don't know. Okay, put the camera in the lane or in the jungle. Erica, 1v1 versus the back chant. He's able to get that and secure that. Now Gangstars are moving in. Like they got the Spidey senses. Lulu begins to spin. The Benedict comes out of Mac Daddy. And Erica Kane, he's like, this is my Crystal Sentry. I will do my best to defend you, but it's not enough. Now, his teammates have been shoving the lane. Have they been shoving it hard enough? Gangstars begin to collapse. As 3, Erica kind of in a bad place. Spontaneous combustion, trampoline forward, dropping low, but he's going to be okay. Xenotech not able to find the kill. And with that Hazard drop down, they'll take the mids away from Gangstars. Quite the dance happening here at Denominator.
Oh, absolutely was. Erica Kane barely makes it out of that last fight. That last on point that clips Xenotech, giving that barrier is really what helped her survive. And you didn't have to use that healing flask down there in the jungle to survive.
Spin, baby, spin, turrets down. Hazard can just watch and wait. I mean, there's nothing they could really do at that point. They needed Erica to be out there. That hurts.
Yeah, it absolutely does. But now, Hazard, they look like they might be on the chase. Is this a risky call out of them, though?
A risky call, but let's see what's the play going to be. It's actually Hello Kitty going to go ahead and just recall. He had the lane shoved forward, forces Lulu back. They'll disengage off any aggression. And I want to hear from you, man. Like, how's the Sky build working out? Is this how you would like to see it?
I am a little... Okay, so it's a difficult path, right? So, for example, on a weapon Sky, normally I wouldn't like to see the Poison Shiv because it limits the amount of damage that she's able to ramp up in the fights. However, against a team that has a Crystal Petal, a Grace that has healing as well, and then a Rona that has fortified health, the Poison Shiv does make a lot of sense, but we need to hurry up and get this breaking point online. That's one of the key things about the weapon power Skye. You get that breaking point online, and because of your ability to avoid damage in the fights, to never be in the same place for too long, you have a natural...
Hazard collapsing, Denominate. The gauntlet's down. This is going to be Xenotech getting lit up. Xenotech deleted in the very beginning of the fight. Hello Kitty repositions with a Suri Strike. Mac Daddy B onto the Skye, but Lulu onto Erica. The fountain will come out. Nicey was dropping low, but he stays alive through it. This is actually not enough regeneration out of Lulu. Hello Kitty gets the kill. Mac Daddy B really slowed down too much with that forward barrage there. The on-point will land. Do they chase him down? I don't think so. But a very nice win for Hazard here. And this, you said you like to see the breaking point come out. Hello Kitty goes for the infusion.
Hey, I mean, anything to get an edge where they're able to find the fight. That's, you know, what we were talking about on that mobility that Skye has. Suri Strike out of the Holy Nova that was coming out of Mac Daddy, who's gotten so good on this Grace. Not going to have the chase, not going to be able to get the kill. But Hazard weren't able to take down that first turret, so, you know, they get the kills. They didn't get a whole lot off the back of it, but Gangstarz, they might even be looking to get this gold mine now.
Well, they're more than looking for it. They've started it up now. Erica's gonna move in. Erica, let's see if you can steal with like an on-point, perfectly timed here. It's not gonna be enough. A nice try, though. Swing and a miss on that one. But Hazard's still in a good place here. Net worth advantage will go the way of Gangstarz. Gangstarz taking the first turret. They're looking pretty good. Their comp's starting to come into its own now. Foe Splitter into the fray right there. He starts to spin, but Hello Kitty just immediately repositioning backwards, and that's the power of the Skye.
Yeah, it definitely is. Again, just the massive amount of mobility that Skye has makes it very easy for her to get out of those abilities. You know, once Rona uses that red mist, you know, she's slowed down. It's very easy for Skye to get out of that kind of kill zone, as well as once Rona has used her gap closers, you know, Skye is easily able to get out of those. So it does make it difficult for them to kill Hello Kitty. However, that can also leave Erica Kane on the front line kind of defenseless if NiceShot is committing all of his defense onto Hello Kitty. But, you know, coming through in that last fight, it was kind of like that golden opportunity moment, like everything started to slow down. And Hazard weren't all grouped up, but like the way they clustered together right coming down into that mustache bush, they had vision, they all knew the plan. Just great execution out of them. Coming off the back, I mean, great gauntlet from NiceShot, who now has the Echo.
Now has the Echo. There's actually an Echo on both sides right now. And first gauntlet will come down. Nicey, he's going to go ahead and echo that up. Second gauntlet will come down. Can split up a Gangstarz. The stuns up. Xenotech. Hello Kitty was dropping low, but he's peeled with the gauntlet. Nicey walk through the edge there. He's going ahead and kiting back. Lulu doesn't know who to go for. The slow from the forward barrage, but into the fray, and a huge kill for Lulu, taking down Hello Kitty now. A 2 versus 2 situation. On point from Erica onto Mac Daddy. Lulu thinks about rotating over the top side. He's going to cut off the path of retreat into the fray, over the wall, starts to spin, baby, spin. The red mist creating such fear and Hazard that they drop off of the Crystal Sentry. Crystal Sentry starts to go down. Breaking point stacking up here. It's nice he walked in. Little foe split into the fray and get chopped down. Lulu.
Yeah, Lulu is doing such a great job on this Rona. 2-1-0 right now, but we're finally getting into the point in the game where Rona really starts to have a huge impact. That breaking point is able to ramp up so quickly. They were able to find a kill onto Hello Kitty in that last fight. They brought things 4-5 and are now looking for another gold miner. Gangstarz, don't let Hazard steal this one.
Hello Kitty's getting lit up here. A dangerous attempt. Now the trampoline, a little bit of damage. Oh, it's going to follow Hello Kitty, but he's going to be okay. Erica is securing his own mid up while that was happening there, and Hazard, much they could do about that one. They're starting to fall in net worth just a little bit, but still have the kill lead 5-4. We approach the 14-minute mark of this game.
Yeah, we're getting there. Not quite into the Kraken zone yet, but the next fight, you know, if it happens quick enough, you know, teams will have the opportunity to recoup and recover, but if things are delayed a little bit and Gangstarz are able to win a fight, or if Hazard are able to win a fight, there's a huge opportunity with that Kraken push where you can take down a couple turrets and really swing the momentum of this game that's looked very even despite Gangstarz having a gold lead. I mean, looking at the actual fights, these teams are very on par right now. It's just as difficult for either of them to kill one another, and now here we go. Here comes Gangstarz looking for a kill.
Gangstarz looking for the joke poke there. Lulu obviously instilling a bit of fear into Team Hazard at this point. I think also, you know, we have to give a lot of credit to Lulu. He's been able to get onto Hello Kitty's Sky consistently, and Hello Kitty doing a pretty decent job to kind of dance around, as you said, using that Suri Strike, trying to be elusive, but Lulu just sticking to target. And let's see how it's going to play out now. GankStars maybe getting caught out in the jungle here. The chase is on. Mac Daddy B dropping low. The gauntlet's actually going to come down. They lost Mac Daddy B. This is a disaster for GankStars. They're going to lose Xenotech as well. Now it's Lulu against the world. Lulu, what can he do? Red Mist comes out. Nice shot dropping a little bit. Look at the absolute plays with the Fountain and the big Crucible coming out at the end. He's able to stay through it. Lulu get the scout. What? The kill? Xenotech gets killed. Okay, I don't know, is the scene, but he's able to get Red Mist. He's keeping alive, sustains through, and the ace will eventually come through for Hazard. Denominate, how did Xenotech get that kill?
It was, you know, again, this is a pedal into a couple melee heroes, you know, the Arden and the Blackfeather. And when you don't give Blackfeather the time to poke, it makes it very easy to bring him down despite that barrier. He's, you know, really his best use is trying to get a couple on points in and then have Hello Kitty kind of follow up, who should have, at the same time that Blackfeather's been poking around the fight, you know, hopefully building up a couple stacks on the Mac Daddy, where he can then turn his attention quickly. And that hasn't been the case. GankStars have been making smart engagements every opportunity they can. And again, this game has been so even through all parts of it. You know, we are now evened up 1-for-1 turret. There are a couple kills ahead on the side of Hazard, but when it comes down to the overall objective control, GankStars have been able to find the better part of it. And as a result, they have a 3,000 gold lead. That lets them be a little bit more comfortable in their builds now. They're a little bit further ahead. Lulu has got a level 12 infusion, as well as Xenotech has another infusion in his pocket. Or Hello Kitty now working into a fourth offensive item, likely going into that Bone Saw up against the Metal Jackets coming out of GankStars.
That'll be a tasty little Bone Saw completion if he can do that in short order here. You do feel that Team Hazard starting to come into its own. This weapon Sky starting to reach kind of a point where it can do a lot of damage stacking up through these fights in the way that Lulu's been able to do thus far now. GankStar's actually going to start capturing this Kraken here. It feels like a bold move, but maybe this is just kind of a debate situation here.
Definitely could be. They could turn their attention, but now with Erica Kane coming down, they have to be super cautious. The on-point damage onto a Kraken is quite capable of making a steal, and it looks like they're just going to drop the aggro on that one.
Naisu jumping in here, just a little the dance back and forth. Both teams looking for the opening. We do have double gauntlet available as well. Divine Intervention can be doubled up with the echo coming out of Mac Daddy B. But Mac Daddy B, he got deleted as soon as that fight started in the last engage. So I imagine he'll play this a little bit more safely here. Look at this, is just Flare City down around the shop and in the middle area of the map right now. Erica just continues to throw on point from max range. Forward barrage just kind of clipping through. The on point actually starting to connect and do a little bit of damage now. The red mist, the forward barrage comes out, but the death from above isn't enough to peel with the first gauntlet. The second coming through as well. Lulu's deep onto Erica, down in the jungle, but Hello Kitty starting to build up a little bit of breaking point stacks. But Lulu right back on Hello Kitty. He'll get a Vanguard kiting back. He's switching over to Xenotech. Xenotech's down, but so is Hello Kitty now. A 2-versus-2 Mac Daddy B off the mark with a Holy Nova. Erica, Rose Offensives over the wall, out of the root that was going to come out of that mid, almost EU treant right there. Naisu, a Naisu self Vanguard. Just cheekily letting GankStars know where he was. The flares come out. Hazard moves forward. Lulu, he's right into the brush with a blind jump in. Nice plays. And Erica's going to be forced out of this one.
And again, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but it's going to be GankStars taking what they feel to be the more comfortable half of it. Lulu obviously able to take up this Kraken due to the fortified health. Here we go, Erica Kane, you're taking damage.
You're taking damage. Erica, Lulu's going to use boots running forward. Those are going to be activated up. Now Lulu finds the kill. Erica, you made a mistake. Lulu into the fray. This bloodthirsty Verona right now. Naisu. He's going to think twice about that one. Actually, I might hang around actually because Hello Kitty's going to be making his way out from base, but this is a 3-versus-2 situation. Lulu jumps in onto Naisu, using that foe splitter for the movement speed. Very nice plays. And he's going to use his boots into the red mist one more time. Naisu dropping low here. Death from above is going to try and peel him off. Does get the stun, but into the frame one more time, and Naisu is down. Oh, the plays. Lulu just carrying GankStars so hard right now. Of course, his teammate's doing a good job, but Lulu really just going off.
Lulu is doing absolutely amazing. Every opportunity he gets, he's able to capitalize on the mispositioning out of the side of Hazard. They brought things back to an 8-9, but they're going to hit the Kraken as well. The turrets are even, but this is going to change very quickly. As long as they get 2 turrets, there's undoubtedly no question at all that Gangstars take the better trade off of this. Yes, it'll be close on gold, but that choke point turret is so, it's definitely the hardest one to take down, as well as it's the most beneficial to take down because, there's nothing now standing between your opponents and their base as far as safety goes. So Gangstars, they're looking to make a good push here. Can they do it? They have the tools to do so.
They've done a great job thus far now. Mac Daddy B holding that turret aggro there. Pretty good job. A little bit of damage coming out on Lulu. He does not care, and Lulu just frontlining for his team like a beast. Every time he has it off cooldown, just into the fray, red mist, and just spin all over Hazard. Holy Nova's going to be off the mark, but choke point turret starting to take a lot of damage. Lulu on the front side. You can see the breaking point just builds up so incredibly quickly as soon as he starts to spin on a couple targets there. But at the end of the day, it's 2 turrets going down. Hazard make the defense.
Yeah, Hazard making a good defense there, but again, with Gangstars getting that choke point turret down.
They're in the surprise brush.
Oh no, nice shot, didn't flare it out.
Don't tell Erica. Erica, don't tell Erica. Erica, you got too far, Rose. A defensive back there, Erica able to get back. Oh my goodness. That must have been so scary. I feel so bad, Erica. Daisu, he can move back in, gets Vanguard on the Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty trying to get on the target. You gotta start building up this breaking point, Sky. You gotta make it work. Lulu jumps in. The gauntlet's down. Divine Intervention comes out onto Lulu. The on point. This is all of Hazard trying to focus down this Rona, but Rona healed up with a second Divine Intervention. Holy Nova is going to come through as well. Daisu dropping low, keeping his team alive. They've taken out Lulu. The raid boss is down now. Xenotech falls. This is just a massive loss for Gangstars. Hazard taking a wonderful fight. 22 minutes in, they take the ace. And now we'll take control of the map.
Yeah, that was a great turnaround by the side of Hazard. There's no Kraken for them to take as of the moment, but let's go ahead and jump on into this replay. As you mentioned, hiding out in the bush there, they were able to jump onto Erica and get a lot of damage down. And then Hazard, they thought they had the opportunity to turn things around, but they came a little bit too far out. Nice shot coming through on the wrong side, just wasn't in the position to help the team early on. The gauntlet wasn't used effectively. Lulu's already in, making a huge opportunity to build up those breaking point stacks. The double Divine Intervention coming out of Mac Daddy there was able to keep him alive, and from there the replay did cut off, but Lulu just got a little bit too far out. The gauntlet coming out, over time of Xenotech not being in the fight. Hazard were able to swing things very quickly despite Erica being so low on health at the beginning of that.
Wow, what an amazing fight there. What an amazing engage, and Hazard taking that one, but Gangstar is still in a commanding position here in this game. This is such a stressful situation. Both teams will throw flares out. This is Hazard moving aggressively forward here. You had the lane being cleared out by Lulu, so kind of gave an advantage to Hazard to take over the tri-brush. Now they're going to start, I imagine they're not really capturing the Kraken, but they started to poke onto it. Now, Erica, he's on the front line for his team. He's going to probably look to bait them in and Rose offensive backward, but the on point is connecting. Death from above will be timing out here just a second. So Erica trying to bait them back into that death from above. Well, Gangstars, they're not playing the fools here, Denominator. They're not going to walk right into it. Not gonna happen. Lulu drops down though. Look at the foe splitter out. He's gonna move forward into the fray, spinning on Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty dropping low. Hello Kitty got to reposition. He's dropping way too low, but the gauntlet isn't enough to peel. The second gauntlet comes down. It's almost a perfect gauntlet, but they've lost their Sky. It's a disaster for Hazard. Gangstars will chase forward. Nice over the wall, but Red Mist will just burn him down. Lulu. All the way home. My goodness, Gangstars. It looks like they're going to take this game, barring a miracle for Team Hazard.
It's so unreal to say just how even this game has been, but off of the back of that last fight, we talked about when Hazard won their last fight, there wasn't a whole lot on the table for them to actually take, but now Gangstars, they find a fight, and the Kraken is right there waiting with nicest shot and Hello Kitty down. There's no way for Erica Kane to safely come over and contest. And this is now an opportunity with only 2 turrets remaining. Gangstars could look to close out the game here and stop this wrecking ball that has been Hazard from day 1 of the Challenger Series all the way up until now. They might have met their match. They did lose to Vision at the end of the Challengers after beating them earlier in the Challengers, but this is where everything counts. You've made your way to the challenge battles. You need to close out Gangstars here if you want to get into the Vainglory 8.
All right, well, there will not be double gauntlets, but they have 1 gauntlet available right now. Only 1 turret remaining at this point. Xenotech trying to kite around here, but he's dropping low. Divine Intervention comes out, but they've lost Xenotech. Now Hazard in the 3 vs 2. They try to take Lulu down. Lulu's spinning. He's taking down the last turret. He's onto the Vein Crystal. Kraken still very healthy, and it looks like Hazard is going to be losing this game, I gotta say. And Kraken, 1 more shot. There you go. And Hazard, not much they can do. A nice execution from Gangstars to move in and find the W here in game 1.
Yeah, Gangstars hanging on by a thread there. Most of the fights, it was Hazard finding the better half of the trades. That doesn't matter. Shattering the Vein Crystal matters, and Gangstars was able to pick fights at key and opportune moments in the game. Specifically, every time the Kraken respawned, they grouped up together and picked the fight that they needed and were able to get the objective push they needed. And Humanist, Gangstars haven't been looking all that great in the Vainglory 8, but they are proving right here and right now that they have been working on it and they are good enough to stay.
Yeah, I mean, coming through, finding that win here in game 1, set the pace on this series. I like that. It's going to be a lot more work if Hazard even are able to come back in this series at all, and it's also just so impressive because of Hazard's performance in the previous series, what we've seen out of him. But it did feel like maybe there were some funky things kind of happening for Hello Kitty specifically in his build. But with that, day, we'll go ahead and throw it over to Munchables and Bacon to break it down.
Very much, guys. The late game dream is alive for the Gangstars. They fell behind towards the start of the game, but once things started to get later on, the Rona that was the focus of the entire draft just spinning around with that red mist. It's so difficult to shut down.
Yeah, this was like almost exactly the way that this game was supposed to run on paper, is that early on, the Sky is very strong against Rona, and the Petal was then able to find some opportunities, but once they got towards the middle stages of the game, then all of a sudden you're seeing teamfights being won by Hazard left and right, but if they don't close out the game early enough, once you get to the late game, the Sky stops being as effective as a weapon-powered hero, and this Rona is then able to take over. The movement speed impairments that were being thrown out by Hazard kind of stop mattering once you get to the late game and you have journey boots on pretty much everyone. You're able to activate those boots every 12 seconds and just keep up with targets in the later stages of the game.
And then it's so difficult to actually kite out a Rona that can run so quickly and can refresh the cooldown on those boots as well. Let's take a look at what happened towards the start of the game, though, because it was Hazard that put their best foot forward to start things off, and this is exactly what we were saying their composition needed to do.
Yeah, they had to find themselves the opportunities early on, and they were doing a great job. But again, this counter-aggression that we've been seeing all day long, where one team is trying to be aggressive, trying to take camps out of the enemy jungle, and the response from the team that is being invaded has been so good thus far today. Hazard no exception in this one, as every time it felt like Gangstars were trying to push into their jungle, there was members from Hazard there to answer and respond and punish them for those movements.
Absolutely. Getting punished for over-aggression right there, and we do see that those teams are starting things off strong. It was Hazard that managed to get off to a good start during that game, but unfortunately they couldn't keep it going the entire time. We started to get to a point where, once again, very messy towards the middle stages of the game. Fights going back and forth, and we saw an ambush getting set up during the game once we got a little bit later on. Gangstars trying to set this one up, but it didn't really work out for them.
Yeah, they had a great idea here, trying to catch someone out of position, but Blackfeather is so difficult to lock down. You see, he gets out of dodge with the Rose Offensive just by virtue of having, still being at half health, and then when Arden joins this fight, the big thing here is watch Xenotech's positioning. He just gets really kind of caught out here. The first gauntlet comes down, stuns him, and he looks for a way, thinks, okay, maybe this fight's going to rotate down around the backside, but then it never does. And then the second gauntlet comes down, stuns him again. It was such a long duration where Xenotech was unable to apply any sort of damage into this fight, and it was just because he thought the fight was going to be coming, rotating down. He thought he'd get the advantage by rotating around that tree there, but it just ended up not working out. The fight moved back up away from him and prevented him from being able to be involved. So really smart play by Hazard to recognize where Xenotech was positioned and recognize, okay, we need to move this fight away from him and keep him out of being able to dish out damage.
Fantastic stuff coming out from Hazard, but unfortunately for them, that was the last fight that they managed to take for themselves. And we can see that Gangstars managed to finish this one out after grabbing a Kraken for themselves. They were able to push on in and end the game, but it was a 25-minute game. This is definitely a long one to start things off. These two teams feel very even right now.
They absolutely do. And again, you have to wonder how much of this is going to be focusing on the Rona as we go forward. In this final team fight, a great Holy Nova stuns up 2, but Gangstars, they're just more focusing on the objectives. They're just looking to take down these turrets, and then Rona starts spinning, gets those breaking point stacks starting to build up, and turns their attention back to the objective when they don't think they can find the kills, and they close out the game with the help of that Kraken.
Absolutely, Kraken able to finish that one off as per Kraken does. But that is going to be Gangstars starting things off strong. They were still down in kills at the end of that game, though, so fantastic that they were able to get that victory for themselves after, not an easy start for them. Maybe just needed to warm into things just a little bit. Let's start to talk about the draft, though, Bacon, as we head on in towards Game 2. What are we expecting to see changed here from Hazard? Do they need to have a little bit more late-game focus, or is it just a matter of being able to finish the job?
I'm more just wondering if it's going to be about this Rona pick, because obviously they felt like the Sky was the counter to it. They were able to do quite well into it, but they just couldn't seal the deal. So now, going into game number 2, with them being on the A side, are they going to continue to focus on the Rona? Is Rona going to be banned by Gangstars this time around? Because you have to assume they're going to stick to their regular strategy of banning the Sky and then leaving their opponents to either leave the Rona open with Sky already taken off the board, or banning the Rona themselves. And they've had a really good A-side draft strategy thus far. We'll see if it continues.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, the teams are going to be swapping around this time, so we'll see how the strategies are going to pan out. Like you mentioned, the first draft of this series completely revolved around that Rona pick, and it was the Rona pick that ended up winning the first game of the series in the end. I wouldn't be too surprised to see that just banned away to start with. But outside of that, we've seen a lot of Petal coming through across the course of today so far. That feels like one of the major priority picks here in the Challenge Battles.
It definitely has been, but for the side of Hazard, they're still focusing on this Black Feather. Once Rona is taken off the board, this is how every single one of their A-side drafts thus far today have gone. Of them banning Sky, their opponents taking the Rona off the board, and they first picked the Black Feather. So Hazard definitely coming to these challenge battles with a very specific game plan, and now just trying to execute on that plan.
Absolutely. Black Feather and Vox going to be locked in, but Lyra taken off the board in response here from Gangstar. So we'll see what Hazard are going to ban here. Wouldn't be surprised to see Arden taken here just to try and even the playing field when it comes to those top captains. But there are a lot of other options available in the captain roles, so we'll see. Obviously, Lorelei has not been picked up during this series just yet. That's certainly an option that we could see come through.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe they've looked towards a Petal ban, but at the same time, you're then leaving open the Kroll pick for Gangstars without having the Petal available to yourselves. So I think the Arden ban would just make the most sense here, just taking that other captain off the board, forcing then the Catherine, the Grace, the Fortress, the Lance that we've been seeing. There's still plenty of picks available, but everyone has been prioritizing Lance and Lyra thus far on this update.
They certainly have, and it is going to be that Petal banned away, as you mentioned before. So Gangstars, they have an opportunity to lock in that Kroll if they really do wish to go for that pickup. And we've seen that work alongside of Vox in the past, but the Arden, too tempting of a pick to go for that Kroll in the end.
And now I'm wondering if Hazard might grab that Kroll themselves. It could be risky because you're running into that double weapon composition with an Arden on the other side. Like, he's going to be able to build up armor. Vox, depending on the build he goes, could build the double armor items that we've seen, because we've seen plenty of Voxes only go for the 3 offensive item builds. So they are going to grab themselves the Lance here. Maybe go for that. I mean, I think the Kroll would fit well with what they try and do with their playstyle. These all-in brawling melee compositions, and that is going to be how they round out their composition. So now members of Gangstars, I think you need to get yourself someone who's a little bit beefier on your side as well. Someone who can build that armor and just double stack the armor. Even though you know Bonesaws are going to come out from Hazard, the more armor you have, the less effective the double weapon composition will be.
Absolutely. Well, Vox and Arden is certainly an open palette to round out a composition with. There's a great many directions that you can take that style of composition, but you'd expect something that wants to kite away in this kind of scenario against a Crawl and a Blackfeather. That is a lot of all-in engage, but Sky was obviously already banned away. That was the first ban of the entire draft. Rhyme wouldn't do particularly well into the Crawl, so the actual options here are pretty limited.
You could run something like a Samuel, I think would actually be very strong into this, just because you have then that kite potential. You can build double armor with a Samuel. You can build that tankier style and just look for these fights to go a long duration. And that is where they end up going with this. So, again, it makes sense. It's not necessarily a winning matchup, but it is more of an even matchup, and it's one that can go toe-to-toe with them as you get into the later game.
And it's something that we've seen Xenotech play a lot in the past as well. And obviously, the rest of the composition coming out from Gangstars as well can certainly do well in these long, drawn-out fights. If you can stack the Breaking Point, stack a Dragon's Eye on a Samuel, as the fight goes on, they'll be looking better and better. But they have to survive that initial dive coming out from the opposing side. How are we expecting the start of this game to go? Because the Crawl versus Samuel matchup is an interesting one.
Yeah, the side of Hazard is definitely going to be looking to get that level 2, get the Samuel to that power spike where he starts to become a very difficult target to deal with. Whereas on the side of of Gangstars, you want to be very aggressive. You want to try and deny as much as you can away from the Samuel in the early game and try and build yourself up a lead.
All right, we'll see if they can build themselves up a lead. Gangstars already have when it comes to the series. We'll see if Hazard can close that gap. Hashtag Vainglory 8. Let us know whether you're part of the Gang fam or if you want Hazard to make it on into the Vainglory 8. It's time to get this one underway and jump into game number 2 alongside Humanist and Denomine.
That's right, we're into game 2 between Team Hazard and Gangstars. We've loaded into the Halcyon Fold, and a very high-powered draft coming out of Hazard here. Denomine, during this draft, you were saying you really liked it.
I specifically like Niceshot getting on this Lance. He is such a good Lance. And when paired up with Hello Kitty's Blackfeather and Erica Kane on any in-your-face jungle bruiser, an alpha, a Krull, it doesn't matter. It's all about locking a target down so that Hello Kitty can come through and really be that single hyper carry that it should be fairly easy for them to get onto the Vox and the Samuel. If they're able to land an Impale on Xenotech, it's going to be lights out for him pretty quickly.
Yeah, Xenotech's going to have to stay at range. I think it's going to be really interesting once Hazard start to break through that front line of Gangstars and get onto Xenotech through some team fights into mid-game. Right now, this is going to be a little bit of a contest over the Elder Tree, and it does look like Eric getting powered up in that brush. Hello Kitty hanging around as well. Gangstars hesitant to start up this Elder Treant. They will finally do so. They're going to go ahead and pull it back to their side just a little bit, but there's a lot of gap closers, a lot of ways to kind of burst that down and steal the last hit from Team Hazard. Gangstars showing a bit of hesitation here. Xenotech even troll recalling. Throw the Malice and Verdicts down. Erica taking a bit of damage. A nice 3-man impale. Nice coming through. You said just a god-level Lance. Now, Spectral Smite. Erica able to get that there. Hello Kitty. Use the Healing Flask. Taking a whole bunch of damage and stacking up and needs to reposition. Erica wants to get empowered, but just going to run right through that Tribush. She's like, okay, we goofed, team. I'm out of here. First blood will go to Gangstars. And we'll see if they even go for more.
Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit of an overstay from Niceshot there. He is going to drop. And Gangstars are going to take the better of that trade, but now can they catch out Erica Kane?
This is a bad place. Erica, it was a cheeky play to try and get back here, but Erica's in a tough place. Been spotted out. Lulu chased him down. Lulu has a Healing Flask. He's not going to be in a tough place here. Erica will go down. Little Corrupted Genius. Xenotech puts him down.
Yeah, the damage coming out of that Corrupted Genius is actually very good at stealing away camps as well, and now they're going to give this Treant to Lulu so that he can safely return to the lane. And this is smart, because he has not got a chance to get that Book of Eulogies yet, or obviously not into the Poison Ship this early in the game, because he's, not Druid, I guess, but You know, Lulu, you know, does need quite a bit of help against Blackfeather in the lane in the early phase. Blackfeather can put out quite a substantial amount of poke, as well as has that Blackfeather, the Book of Eulogies ready to go and provide himself some healing. So Lulu does have to play this early game cautious, and then getting into the late game, he has to dance around Hello Kitty and not get caught out by Nice Shot.
Mac Daddy B finally flexing on Hello Kitty here. Naisu finally making his way up into the lane, but this is almost comical to watch Lulu trying to last it and take these lane minions down when he had the minion candy on them. He was just doing very little damage. Naisu not connecting on that impale, and just kind of hanging out, ready to babysit as well. Mac Daddy B is babysitting Lulu as both junglers go through a pretty straightforward rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody really getting a huge edge here to start. You know, Gangstars were able to find a couple kills early, but I mean, if you look at the gold, I mean, even with that first blood bounty, they're not really ahead at all. I mean, we're talking about that first blood bounty is the only gold difference on these teams right now, and now Erica Kane down here in the jungle.
That's a nice scout trap that Mac Daddy B actually got down there. So I mean, he's at least. That's still up. They don't know it's there, and it's not really getting them in any trouble. They don't go too far.
Right, and you know, as a jungler clearing out, you have to go out of your way to look for that, because if they spot you out in that spot, you know, you're as a hero, you're trying to clear out that minion. You don't actually, because of your range, you do have, even as a melee hero, natural range. Very difficult to get in close enough to pop that trap unless you're intentionally going for it. So the more passes that they make, the more vision Gangstars gets off of it. And if let's say Gangstars are rotating into the lane, they see you down to the jungle, and they have a opportunity like now to push this turret, they're gonna do so.
Yeah, and they're doing so. A very strong push coming out of Gangstars. Mac Daddy B is locked onto the turret. Erica finally making his way up from down in the jungle, and Lulu does get impaled. Lulu's starting to get lit up here. Spectral Smite able to find the kill. Naisu with the Githian will knock Mac Daddy back. Mac Daddy B didn't have his fountain just yet, and Gangstars overstepped himself just a little bit too much.
Yeah, a little bit. Oh, another impale coming through.
Oh, look at the wall. Mac Daddy B gets put down. Naisu shot one of the best lances I've seen in some time, making it work here.
Like I was telling you, this guy, when he gets on Lance, is absolutely nuts. How good his plays and the ability to set up things for his team. And that's what we've seen. Again, every time that Naisu shot gets on a Lance, you know, we're constantly 3-man Githian wall, 3-man impale. You know, it's his ability to line things up at the right moment is absolutely key for their success. And I remember you talking about it before the game. You want to see that gauntlet get canceled out. And
Mac Daddy B just got the mid there with that scout trap.
Happens.
But yeah, I mean, Naisu, he was landing so many of these in a row. I was like, dude, how am I supposed to keep hyping this up? If you keep landing the 3-man Githian wall, it just doesn't have the same ring to it. And after I've said it multiple times in one game, but Naisu, very excellent plays thus far. It does feel like Team Hazard are on the back foot here, although they have a small net worth advantage. Their turret's about to drop down. Gangstars look like they're ready to fight. Oh, a nice double impale. Githian won't knock him back, but Lulu is their target. A Vanguard goes on to Lulu. Lulu turns it around. It's Hello Kitty dropping low. Hello Kitty. The fountain comes out, keeping Team Hazard alive. Ooh, that was calculated right there. Naisu will pay for that one. Goes down Lulu. Sonic zooming forward. And Naisu shot drops down. Turret goes down as well. And suddenly, a big net worth swing will go the way of Gangstars. With that, once again, though, Erica making very aggressive plays into the jungle of Gangstars here.
Yeah, and Xenotech has a very specific goal in this game, looking into these team fights, is the Samuel, once you have the Drifting Dark down, there's so much opportunity to get splash damage down with those Empowered Malice and Verdicts, and against a triple melee composition, this is one of those games where, you know, you could potentially see one of those damage charts that's just way off the wall, where one person was just able to, you know, take over an entire game. And that's, you know, the potential of this Samuel, and that's something you have to worry about if you are the side of Hazard. Not only does he have that ability to rotate up and push objectives very heavily, if you don't position yourself carefully in a team fight, he's going to obliterate your health bars as well.
He really will. And also, Denominate, I think we should touch on the fact that this Frostburn's come out here. You know, we haven't seen a whole lot of Frostburn recently, but it seems to be doing pretty decently for Xeno.
Well, we haven't seen a whole lot of Frostburn because a lot of abilities no longer proc the damage. So, you know, if you look at a hero like Petal, that was always one that wanted that Frostburn. The ability to lock somebody down for your team to then collapse on was absolutely huge. But Munions no longer do actually slow with the Frostburn. You actually have to damage them with something like one of your seeds being put down on a Petal or that spontaneous combustion. Samuel doesn't suffer that. Samuel's Malice and Verdicts are ability damage, and they will proc that Frostburn on every hit, and that makes it very easy against a triple melee composition to kite them out, and that allows not only yourself some protection, but it also allows Lulu to be in a safe spot as well.
Yeah, Lulu's going to be able to jump and dodge around these fights, making good use of that Sonic Zoom, kind of amplified by the slow that Xenotech's putting out here. I like what Gangstars are doing, but this is anybody's game at this point. We're 9 minutes in, and this is getting to the point where you see some items really starting to come together, and these teams could be getting to the point where they want to break open a team fight here, but Gangstars playing very patiently. It's almost like they're just not willing to fight if it's not going to net them anything.
I mean, that's kind of the way you have to play a Samuel, though. If you overcommit against a Blackfeather, a Krull, and a Lance, it is very easy for them to punish the Samuel, and from that point, they can turn their attention on to Lulu, and if he hasn't built up enough stacks of Breaking Point, which he does not even have yet, then it's very difficult for Lulu to win out on that fight. They're relying very heavily on Xenotech, his positioning, and his ability through the slows that he provides to help keep the team in a fighting shape. Obviously, probably working towards the Dragon's Eye for his next item and then going into an Evo Harvest. Here we go.
Let's go. A nice gifting wall to start this off. Mac Daddy B moving back now. He drops the Gauntlet. Hazard Trap inside of the Gauntlet. But Xenotech, there's a lot of minions right in front of him. He'll drop the Drifting Dark. He has the splash damage coming through now. Mac Daddy B dropping low. Look at the 3-man impale into the 2-man gifting wall. Huge plays on a nice shot. Team Hazard making the plays on point. On to 2. But Lulu's here. Lulu trying to guide it back in, but the Dead Man's rush forward. Erica doing mad work here. The double kill comes through for Hello Kitty. He will drop at the end. Lulu maybe looking for more, but the impale Erica moves in. He's getting the weakness stacks. He comes in. A double kill comes through for Lulu. It's a bloodbath. Erica, last man standing on the fold. The ace for Team Hazard. Whoa, my goodness.
That was such a crazy back and forth fight. As you mentioned, Eric Kane, the only one to survive, isn't going to have the damage to take down that first turret. Is going to try to clear out some jungle, but again, these teams, when you look at the team fights, are so incredibly evenly balanced. This is some exciting Vainglory to watch here. Hello Kitty now has the Breaking Point complete as well as the Serpent's Mask, and then looking over at Eric Kane, already built into an Aegis. So as we talked about earlier, the amount of damage team-wide that Samuel is able to put out into triple melee is just off the charts. And Erica Kane already respecting that very early on. Hello Kitty already has a kinetic shield going on here. I almost would say that Nice Shot, there's a valid reason he could commit into extra shield, but if they're able to keep the pressure up, they might not need to do so. And, you know, again, it's going to come down to locking Xenotech up. That's their window to win a fight.
Yeah, that is their window, but I feel like Gangstars have been doing just such a great job of kind of baiting, and then turning around, regoosing forward. And Xenotech was pretty much up in the mix of that fight, right up in the front lines, and he just threw his Drifting Dark, stood his ground. Really nice work coming out of Gangstars. We'll see if they can put it together one more time. Net worth dead even. For all intents and purposes at this point, 5-5. We're 12 minutes in. Nice throwing flares out. He sees the Mac Daddy's trying to get some scout traps down. Speaking of where Nice's down in that shot brush, that scout trap's been down for at least 5 minutes. Gangstar's pulling an Echo Fox at this point. On point comes through. Hello Kitty. Is building up his own Breaking Point stack. Now, this is the thing we saw before with Hazard, right? Once they start building up these Breaking Point stacks, it gets scary.
Oh, absolutely is, and the Blackfeather again able to transfer that Breaking Point onto the next target, and Blackfeather the ability to bring that execute damage in with that Feint of Heart you could see huge spikes of damage onto Xenotech, killing him. And then with the overdrive on Faint of Heart, able to turn quickly, target Lulu, get him into an execute position too. Keeping those stacks up is key for Hello Kitty and the ability for Blackfeather to influence these fights so heavily.
Well, Blackfeather at the point where he can definitely have a large impact in these fights. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see Hello Kitty cleaning up with like a triple kill in one of these fights rather soon. One of the big items that we've been seeing on Naisu, in particular on his lance, is that Echo, and he's quite a ways off of that item.
Yeah, definitely, but, Xenotech has now picked up the Dragon's Eye, so he's going to be able to ramp up that damage over time, especially with the Drifting Dark down. The cooldown on those Malice and Verdicts does get substantially lower, and again, that splash damage starts to ramp up very quickly onto 3 targets, and I'm interested to see what he finishes off with. It's probably going to be the Eve of Harvest, but will he go into a 4th offensive item and try to get some Pierce? Only time will tell. He has some crowd control to worry about, as well as he has a lot of weapon power to deal with. So with the reflex block, I have to think he's going to go into probably a Crucible for his team, just because he doesn't really need the shield. So
this is interesting. Erica picking up this Shiver Steel. I mean, it's not like it's a crazy pickup, but I think it's a smart pickup. We don't see it all the time. It feels like it could work pretty well for them here. Hello Kitty jumping in. Naisu doing a good job. Nice getting able to start this off, and Erica moving from the other side. Now the gauntlet is down. Mac Daddy B is going to try and keep Lulu alive. Lulu trying to kite back. Hazard getting stunned up on the edge there, but Erica drops in the jungle. He's chasing Xenotech. The weakness stacks there. Lulu dancing in the lane. He'll go down to Hello Kitty. Super nice plays. And Erica doesn't want to chase deeper into the jungle. He'll let Xenotech go. He locks up square onto that Crystal Sentry. There's actually a minion candy on it from Mac Daddy B. Mac Daddy B, a nice play with that minion candy. And looks like Mac Daddy B and Xenotech will be okay if they just play this safe here in the lane. Erica finally making his way up from the jungle. He dropped off that Crystal Sentry after quite a while on it. And this should be the turret going down, and at this point, Gangstars could find themselves losing their lives if they get stunned up here, and there's the stun coming through. Gatlas Pauldron comes out as well. Gangstars can't even attack. They're just losing their lives. Xenotech will go down. Mac Daddy B as well. Team Hazard. What an aggressive shot call. They'll take 2 kills denominated. They'll take the turret, and the Kraken is out on the map as well.
Yeah, Kraken ready to go with 2 down. You'd think Hazard going to turn their attention onto that one. Yes, it took Arcane a while to take down that Crystal Sentry, but that's because the only offensive item for Erica is that Breaking Point, and you cannot stack a Breaking Point against objectives. It has to be damage onto heroes. So off the back of that, that's going to be a Kraken now for Hazard. And as you mentioned, great shot calling. That Shiver Steel that you pointed out picked up was so key in helping lock Xenotech down and help locking Mac Daddy towards the end of that fight, where it was Hello Kitty able to come through and get those Faints of Hearts for the execute down. And that's the potential of this lineup. The lockdown they have is just so good.
So good of lockdown, but it kind of forces Hazard to have to fight around the slants. They like to fight where he can find those stunts. Gangstars a little bit more freedom fighting up in the lane here. Unless they get backed up against one of these turrets or the wall, of course, where we saw Xenotech get stunned up and chopped down. Gangstars playing carefully, playing around the edges here, trying to get some chip damage down. Kraken able to take 1 turret. You see Erica empowered up in that brush, looking for an opening, maybe for a from Art. A 2-man impale coming through. Naisu doing a good job and get that stun as well. And Xenotech forced back. Erica moving in incredibly deep. Mac Daddy B throws the gauntlet, stuns up Hello Kitty. Rose up at the back. Lulu thinking about chasing here. On point. Of course, the Oblivion coming through as well. Off the mark. Xenotech doing his best, throwing everything in his arsenal at Team Hazard. That'll force Team Hazard back, but they lose 2 turrets. Gangstars stay alive.
Gangstars hanging on, but that's their base cracked open. Hazard have been able to find windows that Gangstars have left open, and now they only need 1 good push, and they can end this game and tie things up in a for 1-1 in this best of 5 series. And Gangstars, they have to be cautious here. They are up a game. They had a great start, and they can kind of feel things starting to slip as obviously Xenotech is getting jumped on pretty heavily, and again, that Shiver Steel locking him up. They're able to find clean damage, And if Samuel falls, Box is really reliant on his ability to kite around the fight. Now with Xenotech having the Eve of Harvest and a level 12 infusion ready to go, this next fight could be very different as long as he does not get hit by that initial impale.
The impales have been so beautiful to watch thus far. And I imagine he's going to keep landing them at this point. Hello Kitty, his weapon infusion is running out. So he feels like they're probably going to drop down to the shop, refresh that before they do anything else. Gangstars still in this one. They're up 1-0 in the series thus far. And they could definitely win this game if they put together a couple really clean fights. But Hazard in a great place. Hazard setting up maybe for a surprise attack once more.
Yeah, they're definitely looking for it, but Gangstars, they are not checking anything without vision. There's the flare, and as you see, that's when Gangstars move up. They know the whole opportunity for this Kroll is to get onto the back line, and if he's in a bush, if he gets those shadows and Power Me, it's very easy for him to do so at that point. He gets the movement speed buff, as well as the natural slow. Oh no!
Fire! Mac Daddy! He'll Vanguard out of that impale. A nice dodge there. The Vanguard onto Xenotech. Mac Daddy B must have puckered up on that one. That was a scary situation. He almost walked right into that. Hazard, though, the cheeky plays. I really like Hazard playing a little bit with style here as well. Now, nice shot. What's the play? What's he going to do? He moves back. A very deep flare throwing out. And I guess he's predicting where Gangstars have moved forward. Gangstars forward in the lane. This is Kraken being captured up here. Gangstars,
this is
interesting play.
Trade.
They're going to go for the turret, then look to move back and defend this Kraken push. Unless they get caught right here. Wow, looks like they're going to get caught. Denominate. Wait for it. We'll come down over the top side. And then they get on the key targets here. Gauntlet will come down. Xenotech trying to kite out through the back of it. Drifting Dark finally times out. Hello Kitty trying to get on target. He finally can get onto Lulu. He misses his on point. The Fate of Heart is there. Lulu's dropping low, but he gets the Vanguard and all of the healing. Huge plays. Lulu stays alive. Nice. He's going to look to try and peel with the Githian walls, but it's too little too late at this point. Lulu pulls off of this one. Gangstars, what's the play here? They move in. Erica's trying to trade. He's incredibly durable, but Erica will probably go down here. The bell is burning. That's not what you wanted. Mac Daddy B will go down. Oh no, you trolled yourself. Xenotech, you're impaled deep in the base. You're going to throw the double kill. Oh, Lulu defending by himself. This Kraken's gonna do a lot of work.
That was such an overstay by Gangstars that it might have just thrown what a good push they had going for them. All they had to do is regroup. They found a kill. They would have been able to kite out the Kroll, and they could have made it back to base as a group. But now this Kraken, with only Lulu here, wailing on Chris.
Go, Lulu, go! Go, Lulu. You can do this, right? He gets a couple breaking point stacks. Now he's stronger than he was. And actually,
that's definitely a dream.
We're going to have a fight here. They're going to try and close that out. Erica onto the Bane Crystal. Mac Daddy B down there. He blocks off that Atlas Polygram. I do believe, but Oblivion puts him to sleep. Kraken living on a sliver of health. Nice over the top of there. And their game comes through. Team Hazard have tied up the series 1-1.
Hazard, great plays coming out at the end. And Gangstars, I don't know what you did. You stayed a little bit too long, dove a little too hard for a kill that you didn't need. Kraken just annihilates the base, and then running all the way from downtown, Erica Kane and Nice Shot come in, close out that Bane Crystal, and even up the series. So Humanist, again, these teams have been so back and forth. They're so exciting to watch, and I guess whatever the more consistent team ends up being is going to come out on top and look for their spot tomorrow.
Man. Oh, this is we definitely have a series on our hands here. Xenotech obviously did good work to nominate through the early portions, mid portions of this game, but you could tell it's just like once Hazard's composition really came online, they just started. It was just Dive City, Dive Fest, and Dive City. And, Erica really made it work. But to break this one down, we'll go and throw it over to Munchables and Tasty Baby.
I have been incredibly impressed by Erica across the course of today here in the challenge battles, and we are going to have an even series on our hands as Team Hazard managed to even things up here against Gangstars, and that was a really unfortunate way for Gangstars to lose that game because it was all off the back of when they thought that they had a significant advantage. They thought that they could push that for more, but unfortunately it all kind of fell apart.
Yeah, and like Denominator said, kind of overextending for a kill that you didn't really need. they could have just gone back and taken care of the Kraken, but they just wanted to try and go aggressive. They thought maybe if they got those kills, they could potentially end the game themselves. It was a difficult call to make in this situation. It's really easy for us to look at it, from the objective viewpoint, being able to see everything. And of course, after the fact, to be like, okay, they shouldn't have gone for that kill. But in the moment, just the decision that was made was to go for it. I like the fact that they at least, committed to it, but it just didn't end up working out in the end.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at our first replay that came on through. It was a first blood coming out from Gangstars as they started the game off strong. I believe there's a couple of other early game replays looped in here as well. Yeah,
just the early aggression from both of these teams has been pretty impressive to watch. Even when there isn't a clear winner in the matchup, you don't look at it on paper and say oh, this team should win the early game. They both are still trying to find those early game advantages and just trying to see what they can make happen. Some nice gauntlets coming out from Mac Daddy throughout this game to try and set up these fights. Didn't always work out, like this one in particular. Threw the gauntlet down. It was in a nice position, but then they couldn't actually force the members of Hazard to walk through it, and Hazard was able to turn it around and find themselves the team fight victory in the end.
Absolutely. It was an incredibly close early game between these two teams, very back and forth, which is what we've been seeing across the course of this series so far in general. But when Gangstars were trying to siege some of these turrets, we saw a double kill coming through from Hazard when they were on the defending side of this fight. We should have a replay of that one to have a glance over as well and break down in a little bit more depth for you guys. As you can see here, Gangstars pushing to try and grab that turret, and it immediately burst into a fight.
Yeah, the fight just breaks out so quickly. Again, another gauntlet going down. This one I like because the members of Gangstars got on the other side of the gauntlet wall and forced Hazard to have to try and go through it. But Hazard, they were up to the task, able to trade kills back and forth, it felt like, or get the health bars low is what I should say. And then Gangstars, again, just committing a little bit too much to this situation, knowing that Kraken is pushing into their base. If they find these kills, then perhaps they can end the game because they have the minions there already. But they realized a little too late that they were overextended. They did realize that they had gone too far and gone too deep. But at the time when they did realize that, they were just too heavily committed to that fight, and they couldn't get out.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we've often talked about with Gangstars is, since Lulu Ziu coming on, was communication issues within the team. They don't speak the same first language necessarily. And it kind of felt like that was the issue in that fight. Lulu Ziu recalling to go and try and deal with Kraken while the rest of his team dives the turret. If he had been there, they could have finished off Erica, but unfortunately was not meant to be. And then this was the sorry situation that ended the game for Gangstars, but Team Hazard fans at home are going to be very happy with how this one played out.
Yeah, it was just the Vox doing what you can. There's not a whole lot that can be done because obviously your abilities don't do anything to the Kraken. You can't get the resonance bounce working. You can't use Sonic Zoom to get the double hits off, so it's just left to basic attacking. Nice job with the block there, but unfortunately, there's only so many things that you can block from the Lance, and once Kroll comes in, the From Hell's Heart is able to find a stun, and even though they did get their team respawned in time for the defense, there just wasn't enough damage there, and Blackfeather was still on their way as well, and they would have been able to finish off the Crystal regardless of what had happened. So a very difficult way to go down for the side of Hazard, but obviously they're not done with the series yet. They still have a couple of games as we are now tied. We're essentially in a best of three.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We are resetting to a best of three at this point in this series. It is a best of five, but it is 1-1 on the scoreboard, as we do see now these two teams evening things up. And this is looking like an incredibly even series. We could go to the full 5 games, to be honest, if they continue to play the way that they are currently playing. Let's take a look at the draft, though, as we move on into game number 3 of this series. What are we expected to see here? Because obviously Rona was removed from the table this time around, and it felt like that really helped out Hazard coming through.
Yeah, and I think Rona's likely to be banned the entire rest of the way this series. It's just not a pick that either of these teams are going to be really willing to deal with at this point now. And so you do see with Hazard banning it away, Gangstars taking the Blackfeather. This is getting them off of their comfort picks. There haven't been many games. Actually, I don't know if there has been a single game thus far today for Hazard where they did not have either the Blackfeather or the Rona on their team. So already going to have to change things up a bit. They decide to take the Kroll, ban the pedal away. So again, big priority on picks and counter picks and taking away the picks that counter what they want to bring.
Absolutely, that Krull going to do some good work in this game. We've seen Erica has been on point when it comes to throwing out those Hell's Hearts during the fights. The Black Feather over on the side of Gangstar is certainly something that can have a huge influence on the game as well. And with Pedal Band away, that means Team Hazard have a pretty comfortable jungle matchup for that Krull, but we'll see what that matchup will end up being here with what Gangstars want to bring out next.
Yeah, Gangstars, you got to figure when you have a Black Feather and when you're up against a team like Hazard, likely going to be looking towards maybe that brawl style of composition. Of course, Black Feather does have the flexibility to be run in either the lane or the jungle. You can run Weapon or Crystal. There's a little bit of flexibility from Hazard as well. You know, they can run potentially the Captain Krull. We've already seen one of those earlier today. Did quite well for themselves, so it still has that potential to be flexed. Although with both of them, you kind of lean towards one spot. You lean towards it being a jungle Krull, especially with Lyra coming out. You lean towards a Black Feather being in the lane, but that's a little bit more flexible than the Krull is.
I mean, you say that with Gangstars, they were leaning towards that Krull being the captain. Obviously, banning out that Alpha as their second ban definitely screams that they didn't believe that the Krull was going to be going into the jungle. And then Hazard, with the Lyra lock-in, basically says, hey, we called your bluff, we wasted your ban coming on through. Now, Grace going to be locked in, though, alongside that Black Feather, and Gangstars just have to decide what their final pickup will be.
Yeah, Grace and Black Feather are such a potent combo on the fold. Of course, being able to provide that divine intervention when Black Feather goes in leads me to believe even more so that it will be a weapon Black Feather up in the lane for Lulu Xiu. And now the jungler for Xenotech. There's a lot of different ways you can go. You know that it's going to be up against that Krull, but they take the Sky, so they do kind of leave a little bit of ambiguity in their composition in terms of where they want to run. I think their best bet would be the Crystal Sky with a weapon Black Feather, just based on what we see right now. That could change depending on this final pick from Hazard, but I doubt it. I doubt I can't really think of a pick that Hazard would be able to come up with right now that would make me feel like the weapon Sky would be a better choice.
Alright, we'll have to see where they do go with this one. So, likely Xenotech going to be playing that Sky, and it's likely going to be Lulu Xiu on that Black Feather. We've certainly seen Lulu Xiu have a lot more success on these melee carries anyway, so would make a lot of sense for him as a player. But we'll have to see where Hazard are going to go with their draft as well. Obviously, Vox has been banned away, and that's typically what they've been running alongside this Krull. So now Hazard have to change things up a little bit going on into this game. I'm curious to see where they go with this one. Something like a Baron could do well when you're going up against something like a Sky.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of interesting because now Hello Kitty definitely going to be on a uncharted territory, especially with the Celeste coming through. This is something that I was going to say they haven't really they've kind of had their picks taken away from them. The Rona, the Black Feather, the Vox, all taken off the board, but they decide to round it out with the Celeste pickup. That, the stun chain that can come through if you land a big From Hell's Heart on someone, the core collapse onto them afterwards. You can lock someone down for almost 6 seconds of total time, which is absolutely, if you don't find a kill with one target being stunned for 6 seconds worth of time, then there is something that you did wrong in that team fight.
Absolutely. We'll see if they can get that CC chain on the roll and see if they can manage to turn that into any objectives here. But the Celeste carry coming on through. This is not something I was particularly expecting to see coming out across the course today. Typically, it's been those weapon power laners. How are we expecting the team to play around this pick?
It's going to be really interesting to see how Gangstars play around the pick, just because they have the mobility available to them to kind of dodge out a lot of the Helios and the core collapses between the Sky and the Black Feather. So weapon Black Feather is the counter to Celeste, which has me very, very worried for Hazard coming into this game.
It's definitely an interesting final pick coming on through, but we've seen a lot of interesting picks across the course of the challenge battles so far, so definitely fits on into that category. Hashtag Vainglory8, let us know who you want to take this one. Who do you want to take the lead in this series? Because we're tied at 1-1 right now, and that means it's time to pass it back to Humanist and Denominate for Game 3 of this Decider match.
That's right, we're in Game 3 between Gangstars and Team Hazard. Get out there with your hashtag Vainglory8s and let us know, so Mr. Munchables can of course rest easy knowing which team you are rooting for. But Denominate, as we get into this match, things have been shaken up a little bit. There's a Celeste on the board.
Yeah, Celeste one we haven't really seen too much in the Challengers. We have seen it a couple times. On Vision is one of the teams that significantly pulls it out. But as far as the side of Hazard is concerned, the games that we see them really succeed in have always been Hello Kitty getting on that in-your-face, heavy melee hitting hero, you know, the Blackfeather building up the breaking point stacks, or the Rona doing the same thing. You know, something that's, you know, able to scale up in the fight and able to really swing things very quickly. Now, Celeste is kind of the same except for the mage version, right? But here we go, Gangstar's looking aggressive early here.
Oh, Core Collapse off the mark, a little poke coming back and forth, but the thing is with the Celeste, like, if you get caught, there's no way out here.
Oh no, if you get jumped on by this Blackfeather, it's gonna be rough times. Obviously, for quite some time, the Blackfeather has been revered to be like the Celeste killer. That one pick that is just so good into Celeste, the ability to get past the Core Collapse, and just how offensive a Celeste goes, and then usually going into a block, especially when there's things like Death from Above and you know, the Holy Nova coming out of this Grace that you're gonna have to block up. It makes it very difficult to commit into that armor build without sacrificing too much of your damage. So we'll have to see what Hello Kitty ends up building. But what I'm most excited to see is Xenotech on this Skye into the Krull. Skye can be a very good pick into a Krull, but I'm interested to see if it's that Frostburn first item that we once knew Skye to be so good for, the ability to kite away targets, or is it going to be that Dragon's Eye first item that we've seen some varied success with?
I mean, what would you like to see? It does feel like Dragon's Eye would be pretty nice here, but do you think Frostburn could come out?
I think both are viable. The problem with Frostburn is it lacks a little bit of damage now, but the problem with Dragon's Eye is it doesn't have that slow. It's more difficult to keep a target locked into that forward barrage for the remaining duration, and that can be... they both have their ups and downs, but both have the opportunity to miss out on damage.
Well, Erica moving through the Tri-Brush. She'll clear out some scout traps there. Was able to take the Elder Treant, and pretty clean rotations thus far. Level 4, 3 minutes in. Nothing too fancy across the map just yet. No big advantages have been taken, and no first blood. Both teams very happy to kind of just dodge each other out here. Denominate, I think it's actually pretty interesting though. Like if you look at the, of course, you know, two different drafts here, but the way they're going to play it out, it's actually pretty similar. Like, you have someone who's going to try and dive, be a front line, and do a lot of damage to their mage. And on the other side, you got, like, the mage that has to hang out on the backside and can't commit too far into a fight.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And you know, when we look at the way things are going to be positioned, you know, it's obviously going to come down to each fight. But Hello Kitty in the lane on the Celeste is going to have the opportunity to have a lot of lane pressure, where the opposite can be said about Xenotech in the jungle. He's going to be having the pressure coming from Gangstar's, you know, up against Erica Kane. The mobility of the Skye up until that From Hell's Heart comes out is just so good. And we'll have to see what that first item is. Now, the heavy prism and the Eclipse prism could go into either route. Could go into, I guess, potentially a Shattered Glass, or a Dragon's Eye, or a Frostburn. But we'll have to see. Hello Kitty.
Hello Nova's there. The forward barrage doing a lot of work. Hello Kitty pops that healing flask, immediately regenning right back up. But you can see Gangstar's had a plan all along here. That was the minion candy much longer before Xenotech even rotated up into the lane. So they know what they're doing here. Now Naisu, target locked up, they jump forward. Naisu shot dropping low, healing flask. He's trying to move himself back with that sigil there. Erica has made his way up. The Holy Nova can be off the mark. Now Mac Daddy B getting turned around on. Erica chasing for it. Hello Kitty able to just stay at that perfect little Celeste range pretty much the entire time, and well, no one goes down at the end of it, but finally a little bit of an action.
Yeah, a pretty massive fight actually breaking out there, but like you said, everybody gonna make it out just with, you know, just a little bit of give. There were several flashes actually used in this fight. Oh no!
Comes in, Mac Daddy Boomerang, Core Collapse on the top. Ooh, Erica, that was pretty tasty. I'll wait 5 minutes for a first blood every game if I'm gonna get one of those.
Not often you see the Boomerang land, but even on to Mac Daddy this early on in the game. They were able to focus their attention onto him very quickly. They were able to pick up first blood going on to Hello Kitty, and accelerating this Celeste is going to be key in this game, as so much objective control will come out of this hero. You know, whether it be in the lane against a Kraken, taking down a Crystal Sentry, as well as the zoning potential against this Skye. You talked about the Skye, you know, being that Crystal Mage style play that wants to dive to the other end of the fight. That's kind of risky if there's a minefield waiting for you on the other side.
Ooh. Xeno actually starting to put out pretty respectable damage on the Skye, and it's nice to see. We haven't seen a ton of Skye in competitive play as of recently, but you can see Team Hazard will be respecting the damage going out here. Nisu finally able to clear out that scout trap in the tri-brush there. They've run through that a couple times. It had pretty good efficiency out of that one little scout trap there. And we'll see, both of these teams are just going to go ahead and reset. I would imagine it's not going to be just any sloppy engagements happening here. Nisu able to steal that mid away with the sigil and the basic attack.
Yeah, good plays coming out of Hazard this game. What are they going to be able to do with it, though? This Celeste needs to hit level 8 before she really starts to take over the fights. That additional range when you overdrive the Heliogenesis is really key into Celeste's late game presence. And that's what's going to make it very difficult for Xenotech specifically to, you know, come into these fights unscathed, whereas Lulu is going to look to dive right past all of that. He has to be careful about the Bright Bulwark as well as this Crow.
Whew. Death from above blocked off there. And so, you know, speaking of nicely shot on this Lyra also, that Bright Bulwark is incredibly important. If that Bulwark goes down at a good point in the fight, shuts down the mobility out of Gangstars, and if they overextend at all, they might be punished for it. Erica just slapping Mac Daddy as he tries to face check into that brush there. Hazard, very strong movement forward here. They're going to look to get a little damage down onto this turret. Will they actually just commit for it? No, Bulwark's down. They're going to reposition back onto the sigils. Xenotech trying to strafe through with that forward barrage. That's a very nice little death from above there, but nothing really follows from it.
Yeah, good deaths from above, but without your team there to really capitalize on the fact that Hello Kitty got stunned up, it is a little bit difficult. But now with Xenotech rotating down, can Hazard find this turret?
They move in, they start to get damaged, but they don't want to take turret aggro just yet. They're still playing it very safe. A little wild Solar Storm ripping on through there. Gangsters are going to be okay. Still holding Fountain, and they still have that Divine Intervention as well. Mac Daddy B can just let Lulu dive in there if he wants to, really back him up incredibly well.
Absolutely can. Nobody gonna get that first objective yet, but Hazard have developed themselves a nice 1,000 gold lead at this point. Nice shot, taking the opportunity to recall, get that Fountain online. Did go with the Crucible first, so those Imperial Sigils would have a little bit more punch behind their healing, as well as can try to help block up that Holy Nova that can be so useful into the Krull. So a couple uses there out of that. Shatterglass and Clockwork complete for Hello Kitty. And that Clockwork got a massive buff in the recent patch, Seamus, the recent update. You know, that's now 10 energy regeneration. You know, that's almost a Clockwork combined with an Eve before in one item. And obviously with the Shatterglass, you're going to have to take this, the punch coming from these stars pretty seriously. And I think with the range now, Hazard take this uncontested.
Yeah, with Supernova, that turret does go down. Xenotech showed up into the lane, but too little too late. Looks like Hazard may be thinking about moving back in there. Erica has that from Hell's Heart ready to go. And when we also, you know, to mention, when we saw Hazard play earlier, they were using this Arcane Passage very aggressively. There's no reason to force it, but they can pull that out at any moment here. Mac Daddy B over the wall. The mid does go the way of Erica.
And now Hazard, they might even just be looking to take the gold mine and keep this advantage up. You know, again, now that Hello Kitty is hit that level 8 mark, in fact, now level 9 even, getting a second point into that Solar Storm, the extra range on the Heliogenesis gives them so much potential, so much ability to control the map. It's, you know, it's got so much utility to it too. Drop it in a bush, boom, you've got vision.
Yep.
You know, lasting for a couple seconds, you know, can obviously prevent Lulu or Xenotech or Mac Daddy from coming in a little bit too close, as, you know, the bite that those stars bring is pretty heavy. I mean, even onto the captain there, that would have been a Supernova. That would have been a quarter of max health right away at the beginning of the fight.
It started to stack up. I mean, that level 9 infusion, he's doing a lot of work at this point. I like what Team Hazard are doing here. Erica just kind of hanging out, waiting for anyone to overstep. You got this ultimate ready to go. We've seen Also, not afraid boomerang this one from downtown. Swing it all the way around. Core collapse will come through onto Lulu. A little bit of poke. 486 damage coming out of that supernova. Lulu pops his weapon infusion, eating another Helio there. A lot of damage coming out. Are they baiting Hazard for it? Now, Death Above will connect. Xenotech building up his Dragon's Eye. He also has his level 9 infusion, but you can tell Xenotech very hesitant to commit in here, knowing that they have all of this potential lockdown ability. And Gangstar is not going to make any engage. It's Hazard taking a safe little back trance. They're getting a little bit of healing and regeneration onto Hello Kitty, who already has a lot of energy regeneration as well. Xenotech dancing around the fight, trying to forward barrage from max range. This is just a siege composition, almost a two-man siege composition. It's just nice. And Hello continues to just bear down upon Gangstars. Now here's your boomerang, here's your boomerang, here's your boomerang. Lulu blocks it off. Lulu trying to get on target, but the Solar Storm whips on through. Mac Daddy dropping low. Xenotech as well. The fountain will come out. Gangstar's getting a little nice stun by Hello Kitty onto Lulu. That core collapse. My goodness. Now Xenotech over the top side with that Surrey Strike, trying to come through with the forward barrage damage, but it's nice body blocking that out. Mac Daddy be forced out towards the west side of this fight. Xenotech, he's pinned in here just a bit. I mean, this is a dangerous Sky. Death from above, cutting off Naisu. Naisu dropping low. The sigil's there. Are they going to lose Naisu? For the cooldowns for Xenotech, Surrey Strike over the top. He's able to get one. So Xenotech able to make a play. The turret will go down in the lane. A very extended fight there.
Yeah, it was a crazy fight, but like you mentioned, turret did go down. So that's a objective traded for just the captain coming out of the side of Hazard. That's a win all day long. And now Gangstar's looking to find a window of opportunity. They're looking to get on this gold mine, but will it be enough to bring them back in? Solar Storm coming through. Little early.
You should have hyped it up. It was a hype moment there, Denane.
Okay, so I saw them taking the gold mine. I went to look at the cooldown on Hello Kitty, and when I tapped, and my map panned, and I saw the Solar Storm going the other way. So I was like, "Am I missing a great moment, Vainglory, right now?"
Yeah, you were there for it, and I appreciate that. Appreciate that indeed. Hazard really making some nice plays here, now moving forward. Death from above kind of blocking off this point between the two walls, but it's not like Hazard's trying to walk through anyway. Not really a problem for them. Flares continue to come out. They also have the Heliogenesis as well as the Sigil to throw down into the brush if they need to. Something that you were talking about before, Dename. So much vision and control. As this team just continues to march forward, an almost limitless supply of energy here for Hello Kitty. Mac Daddy moves in. The Holy Nova is going to be blocked off. Solar Storm comes through. Pretty decent, respectable damage. That would have caught Xenotech. He would have died for sure, but he will be forced back to the healing platform, and with that, Hello Kitty begins to light up this choke point turret. Look at that massive damage coming through, and once again, this is a two-man siege composition. Erica waiting in the wings. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a big boomerang from Hell's Heart come landing, crushing down upon Gangstars any moment here if they walk out any further. They have to know that the Kroll is waiting and powered in the brush. What's the play? Core collapse. It's going to go ahead and stun up Lulu. Lulu with the on point, getting a little bit of barrier. Now, Lulu trying to move back. He's locked up by Erica. Erica doing incredible work on the backside. Xenotech trying to trade with Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty will pull off the chase with Xenotech. Erica's going to pull off of Lulu as well. Xenotech's down in the jungle. Has to move up as 3. They're collapsing down onto the targets. It's Mac Daddy B. They're switch back over to Lulu. Lulu stunned up from Hell's Heart into the core collapse. Intervention comes through, but they block off that second stun. Lulu's still alive, but he has the weakness tax. What's going on? I don't know. Rose fits him over the top side. Surrey Strike from across the globe. Xenotech, he wants Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty wants Xenotech. Core collapse, not going to be on the mark. Xenotech everywhere. He's here. He's there. Arcane Passage to chase Surrey Strike him over here. And he's going to work. Xenotech eventually will go down, making the kill score 3-1 in favor of Hazard. 14.5 minutes in. It'll be the perfect, most efficient gold miner into Kraken you've ever seen.
It's a very, very long, crazy fight, and let me tell you, we're lucky to have had you as part of it. So much hype brought together, and now Hazard, off the back of a single kill, like you mentioned, looking to get this gold mine and looking to keep pushing their advantage. 5,000 gold in the lead. Hello Kitty, as you mentioned, basically an unlimited supply of energy here. I'm actually kind of interested to see. Oh, there's the Broken Myth. I was going to say, are we going to get a Broken Myth or a Dragon's Eye? But my next concern here with the Celeste is, with this unlimited supply of energy, do we see Halcyon Chargers come out for 30 boots just for that extra cooldown on the boots use? I can see this world where the journey boots might be a thing on Celeste to, you know, be able to get away from this Black Feather consistently.
Yeah, I like that. Also, I mean, Hello Kitty's been getting into these kind of duels with Xenotech, and you could see where that could play out pretty well. As I think either way will be a decent item choice, but curious, as you said, to see which way it does go. At this point, though, this is Hazard really putting the hurt to Gangstars here in Game 3. I mean, we're tied at 1-1 in this series. These teams are stacked up incredibly even. When just small mistakes can totally throw a game the other way, and right now, this is Hazard starting up the Kraken, capturing it incredibly quickly, and it does feel like Gangstars are going to be late to this party. Flares begin to come out. Gangstars, you're too late.
Yeah, and now with Hazard getting ready to push down the lane, 3 turrets between them and a victory, but they have this Celeste. They have this hero that is just so good at barraging hell onto these turrets. At, you know, again, skill shot mages are so good at taking objectives because those skill shots tend to pack quite a punch, and objectives will not move out of them. So if they don't kill Hello Kitty, Hazard could look to end the game here.
Arcane Passage in, the Bulwark's down. Interesting plays. Now Lulu, he's chasing onto Hello Kitty. He wants Hello Kitty bad. The Solar Storm comes on through. Divine Intervention for Lulu, but the weakness stacks. Lulu's not doing the damage he wants, but guess who is? Xenotech over the top side. Surrey Strike, the on-point connects onto 2. Benediction and Mac Daddy B slowing him down for his team to clean him up. Death from above is off the mark, but remember, team, you have to get back to take the Kraken. Finally, Gangstars will peel off of that fight after taking one. It looks like Eric's going to chase forward with Naisu as well. A little bit more harass coming out. Gangstars finally taking a fight here. Down in net worth. A clean engagement. Xenotech doing a lot of work there. Naisu, gotta be careful not to overstep yourself. And with that, Hazard will pull off of this push.
Yeah, Hazard gonna have to pull off, but not before getting a 2-turret push out of that Kraken. They now have only 1 turret standing between them and a victory, whereas looking at their defensive side, they have 5 turrets to hold Gangstars back. So Hazard, they're looking to be in a great point in this game. Xenotech, while he has the Dragon's Eye and the Eve of Harvest, he's still working into his 3rd tier 3 item, where Erica Kane working into the 5th at this point. So we can definitely see where this 5,000 gold is. I mean, Lulu was able to come through huge in that last fight, but not only Lulu, just the way that they collapsed, the way that they chased the fight apart in different directions. Xenotech Surrey striking, blocking off one direction, Lulu waiting the other way, the Holy Nova right in the middle coming out of Mac Daddy. It was just the most cleanly executed plays we've seen from Gangstars in a long time. And we need to keep seeing them play like that if they want their hopes to stay alive here, of maintaining this Vainglory 8 spot that they've held on to for so long.
So long. I mean, it would be crazy to not have Gangstars in the Vainglory 8. And here in Game 3, they have 1 turret remaining to nominate. I mean, they are 1 fight away from going down in this series 2-1 and being in an incredibly tough position to come back. And at this point, it's just 1 small mistake could be the deciding factor. Down in the jungle, Scout Traps kind of revealing that Eric was down in this area. Bulwark comes out, dissuading aggression. Naisu doing a good job on that. Naisu also picking up the Echo. I don't know if we talked about this. I didn't quite catch that earlier, but that's a big pickup for the Lyra as well.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's going to be interesting to see what that Echo is used on. Is it the extra bright Bulwark to keep Lulu at bay and to keep Xenotech from Surrey striking around the fight? Is it an extra heal from that Imperial Sigil? Probably just depend on how the fight goes. I'm going to say the bright Bulwark doubled up is going to be the most effective use in most cases, because again, if you're able to prevent Lulu from getting onto Hello Kitty, then the fight becomes all that much easier for you.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bulwark being echoed up will make a lot of sense, but it's a situational thing. If you need that double heal, maybe we'll see it now. Gangstars moving in. Target locks onto Naisu. It's not going to be damage coming through. 484 damage, 1-star Ripsaw through a Xenotech. Now, Xenotech, of course, has the reflex, but no defense, and that's one of the toughest things about playing the Sky. Like, Xenotech's positioning has to be literally perfect. He has to be applying damage while not receiving any. It's a tough job at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of the trade-off of the Sky, right? Like, you have the mobility against the Celeste that makes it difficult for her to land the Helios. Oh, here we go. Xenotech takes the Helio.
They jump in onto Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty kiting back to death from above is not the one you're looking for. Xenotech turn drop low, but look for the boomerang. Look for the boomerang to come on through. Lulu is going to be thumbed up. There's the damage. They take it out. Hello Kitty, a huge place. The double divine intervention, keeping Gangsters alive. They're looking to take down Erica as well. 21 minutes in, Gangsters find the fight that they needed. You have to imagine, barring a miracle out of Naisu with a sigil steal or something like that, this is going to be a Kraken into the bush. Gangstars stay alive.
It's definitely looking to be that way, Humanist. Mac Daddy, like I mentioned earlier on, he came onto this team and really, at the beginning was very underperforming in comparison to the captains that we have seen on Gangster. Veins and Wreck, those are
nice.
Nice,
not the nice, Gangstars, the kill in the Kraken.
Yeah, the ace in the Kraken, but yeah, Mac Daddy, had really big shoes of Wreck and things still coming on. At the beginning, it didn't look all that great for Gangstars, but as the season went on, as he started to play at the top, we've really seen Mac Daddy develop his skills, and in these past couple of fights, you definitely see why this Grace has been one of his favorite heroes to get on. The timing on these divine interventions is almost flawless in keeping Lulu alive, keeping Lulu on target, onto Hello Kitty, bringing that mage down, and once that's the case, there's just nothing that Erica Kane and Nice Shot can do to stop what is Lulu and Xenotech, as Mac Daddy, again, doing such a great job keeping them alive.
Okay, well, there's something you can do. If they get pushed too far into their base, they can walk back onto the healing platform. Lulu will have to eventually peel off, but I get what you're saying, man. Like, right now, it's pretty much just like, Lulu, go. Kill Celeste. I will heal you and give you everything else that you need to make it happen. It's a tough place, but that's a lot of pressure onto Hello Kitty as well. Like, yeah, there's pressure on Gangstars to execute to get on that Celeste, but that's a lot of pressure for Hello Kitty to survive, to try and kite backwards and get some work done.
No, you're absolutely right, and this game just gets more and more exciting as the seconds tick on, and, who is it going to be that comes out in the end? We've seen the damage this Celeste can put out, but we've seen the freedom that Lulu has engaging in. The Journey Boots have come out for Hello Kitty, so I do like this, because the proc comes back up if you've damaged an enemy hero.
Yeah.
That's a 60-second boot cooldown that is now 12 seconds. There's an opportunity where those boots can be used 1, 2, maybe up to 3 times during a fight to get Celeste just any distance from Blackfeather and give the team another opportunity to lock him up where they can turn the damage around. But Lulu, he's been playing like an absolute god with Mac Daddy here, and then Xenotech being such a good distraction, finding that forward barrage damage, dancing around the fights, burning the core collapses coming out of Hello Kitty. I'm on the edge of my seat every time a fight breaks out of this one.
It could really go either way. We could see either team walking away with the W here, and it honestly could be off the back of the next fight, as both teams just waiting for the other to make a small positioning error that they can capitalize on. This is a game of rotations, also a game of vision at this point, and Gangstar is really trying their best not to get caught out. But this comes back to also, I think, what you talked about in the beginning. Yes, they're throwing flares constantly. You're getting your scout traps, moving your vision line forward. But once again, Hazard have that advantage naturally just from their own abilities giving them vision.
Yeah, absolutely. This game is getting so intense. Kraken now back on the board. Hazard, they weren't able to make the miracle steal with Nice Shot last time around, but they've spawned themselves an extra opportunity. They now have another chance where they can try to find the kill on Gangstars and then just push into this lonely turret that stands. Xenotech!
Lonely! Xenotech! You feel a little bit lonely. Death from above. That's not the one you're looking for. Now Erica moves right back after engaging incredibly hard onto Xenotech. The chase is here. So Hello Kitty's getting lit up. Lulu trying to find his target. The Holy Nova blocked off. The chase is on. Hello Kitty standing in the death from above, raining down on top of Hello Kitty, but he goes through the arcade passage. Nice arcade passage. Lulu executes Hello Kitty down. Hello execution. Nice. Shot drops the bright board with some amount of time before he goes down to try and troll him out. He does find the route onto Lulu. What a high level play command of nice shot. He will eventually go down. Xenotech with that beautiful Suri strike over to find that kill on Gangstars. You got to imagine Denom nominate at this point. This is Gangstars' game.
Yeah, they are definitely looking like they've brought things together. This Blackfeather, at the point in the build that he's at now, he's able to just constantly stick onto Hello Kitty, who has sold the Aegis, picked up the Metal Jacket, and this is smart. There's not a ton that you have to block on the side of Gangstars. Yes, the Holy Nova, but you should ideally be playing far enough back away from Grace so that's not the case. The only real concern you have is a beautiful Death from Above coming out of Xenotech.
Which happened last fight.
Right, but all of the damage threat onto this Celeste has constantly been Lulu. They have been unable to separate Lulu off of Celeste. He's able to find a free kill every single fight. And from there, they've just been able to turn things around, kick things into high gear, and now it's Hazard on the back foot. Here we go, Mac Daddy's in.
Let's go! It's Hazard killing time at 3-man Holy Nova. Mac Daddy B getting lit up to start this one off. Hazard, they switch back over onto the Kraken, but this fight is getting a little bit sloppy. Mac Daddy B with a self-defined intervention. Lulu, Rose offensive forward onto Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty moves back. The Solar Sword rips on through. Xenotech put into the dirt, and now Gangsters on the run. A Holy Nova will peel off two of Hazard, but they take him down. A double kill coming through for Hello Kitty. The Kraken on the last turret. They're gonna move back. They're gonna take this Kraken down to nominate. Lulu, the last man alive, with 40-second respawn timer. What is about to happen?
It would be a super risky call, but Hazard have the damage that if they would have taken off quickly off the back of that Kraken, they probably could have taken down that last turret. In fact, they might be looking for it. There's the speed boost coming out of Nisa shot.
Nisa boosting his team forward.
12 seconds on Xenotech.
Call it. What are the odds at the end of this game?
Calculate the odds! They need to focus! Let's go,
Hazard! The arcade passage, and they're on to the last turret. They switch over to Lulu. They try to make the plays. Lulu, he's gonna be stunned up. They're on to the last turret. Xenotech's here. Xenotech, Suri strike over the top side. Team Hazard, it looks like they've done it to get onto the Vein Crystal. Hello Kitty getting lit up nicely, shot down as well, but Erica comes through at the end. Oh my goodness, what a game we had here. Team Hazard are gonna go up 2-1 over Gangstars.
Gangsters look so good turning that game around, but in the end, on the Kraken push, stuck their necks out a little bit too far into the chopping block that is Hazard. And off the back of it, like I said, it would be close, but they do have the damage to take down that turret. They did have the damage to continue that on to the Vein Crystal. Gangstars, it was a great turnaround, but they weren't able to hold it together long enough. Hazard come through and pick up a second victory here. 2-1 for Hazard. So much on the line for both of these teams. Humanist, this is such a crazy matchup.
It is a crazy matchup indeed. And I think, Denomine, as I'm sure our viewers probably do, at least a good amount of them, that this deserves to go all the way. This is a series that deserves to go to Game 5. These teams are stacked up incredibly well. There were moments of brilliance out of Gangstars. They put together some clean fights. It looked like Lulu was unstoppable. But in the end, Hazard make that unbelievable shot call to get in there and end the game. But with that, Denomine, we're going to go and throw it over to Harry Munchables Potter and, of course, Tasty Bacon.
Thank you very much. I didn't have any puns lined up to receive that throw, which you told me in advance. Welcome to the desk. But what a game coming out there. It was an incredibly slow game to start things off. It took a long time for things to get rolling. It was around 20 minutes before we really saw any major fights happening. but then everything just exploded like that, and the end of the game was exceptional.
Yeah, both teams looking at their own compositions and saying, yeah, we've got the late game. We'll just let this game stall out a bit. And they both did have very strong late game compositions. And in the end, it just came down to who was in a slightly better position when push came to shove. And it was just, I don't know how you can get much closer than what we've seen from these two teams in these 3 games thus far.
These two teams look so evenly matched, and honestly, Hazard managing to pull that one out in the end, but it was by no means a game that was in their control. They just managed to find the opportunity and open that wide. Let's take a look at our first replay. It was around 11 minutes into the game, and this is just a demonstration of kind of how passive the early game was, because this was a trade that happened, and this is about our only replay before kind of the 22-minute mark.
Yeah, at the 11-minute mark, a great start to this fight by the side of Hazard, being able to block out a huge From Hell's Heart, by Gangstars there. But then, as this fight continued to break down, you see everyone just kind of getting split off a bit. Gangstar staying alive, but not winning out this trade. And this is when the Celeste starts to really have an impact. We're a little bit later into the game. With the 11 minutes, you start to get those items through. She's already on 2 tier 3 items, has the level 8, has those massive heliogenesis. And I gotta give credit to Gangstars, where it's due. Like, they did a great job of not letting that big power spike for a Celeste dictate the pace of the game.
Absolutely. And even once we got to the later stages of the game, that was still true. The next couple of replays were Gangstars later on in the game, around the 20-minute mark, starting to get some double kills and starting to actually get some control of the map themselves. And I have to say, Xenotech was doing a pretty good job on this Sky to dance around these fights, but it was all about Lulu's here.
Yeah, the big From Hell's Hearts were getting blocked so frequently by Lulu and, of course, Mac Daddy with the Crucibles. It was just excellent work to recognize where that Kroll was, where he's trying to throw the From Hell's Hearts, and just being able to block those and prevent that massive impact from happening. And we talked about the fact that it could be up to 6 seconds of lockdown if it was to connect, but they were so consistent with being able to block it. And then, we can see once we're 21.5 minutes in, they're finding aces. They take the Kraken. They're making progress down the lane. And this was when, you have 2 late game compositions, 2 teams that wanted the game to go this late. And it was just a matter of who could strike first.
Yeah, this was the beginning of the end right here for Gangstars, because they managed to get that Kraken. They managed to start to push things in. Well, that's when things started to go wrong for them as well. Our next replay is Gangstars pushing alongside their Kraken, but they overreached. This is a similar story to what happened in the last game as well. They overreach, and Hazard, once they get to the late game, are more than happy to punish.
Yeah, and they're so capable of punishing as well. That's the biggest thing, is that Hazard, once they find this opportunity, once they realize that you've overreached a little bit, they are so quick to just make the decision to try and punish that play. Obviously, you see Xenotech getting caught up a little bit there. They're trying to dance around with this Black Feather as well, but all of a sudden, the huge Solar Storm just destroys Xenotech, wipes him off the fold, and now with Kraken still pushing onto their base, they just make the decision to quickly back off, go and take down this Kraken so that it doesn't destroy their final turret. You could see they thought about going and trying to push for the end, but because it was Black Feather that was still alive, they didn't want to make that decision right away.
They didn't want to go straight for that run, but huge death timers on the side of Gangstars, and then we saw Hazard charging across the map, and the respawns were just about to come out, but Hazard, they wanted to race this one, and they immediately jumped onto Lulu, but in the end, they did manage to finish this one out. Gangstars do respawn, but it's just a tiny bit too late, and Hazard did manage to finish it in the end.
Yeah, there's just too much damage onto the Vein Crystal, and again, I like the decision, even though they went and pushed in for the end anyway, I like the decision to back off and focus on the Kraken, because if they try and make that race, if they try and make that call to just go for the end, they don't know if Black Feather, he can Rose Offensive over the wall, join Kraken on that last turret, and finish things off before they have a chance to react. So, definitely a great call from the team to back off, take care of the Kraken, and then go finish the game, knowing how long they had.
Absolutely. Had it been an ace, maybe that's a different scenario, but with Black Feather alive, I completely agree. Here we go. Vox going to be the first ban coming out from Hazard. That's going to be answered by Black Feather there from Gangstars. So now, kind of a different way to start off this track already. The carries me a focused, and you're absolutely right. Rona will be locked in.
Yeah, Rona for Hazard. Gangstars, Obviously, they're likely to be feeling the Sky here as the counter. They are going to pick that one up. They were very much happy with the way Xenotech played the Sky. I would assume that's where they're going to run with it again in this game, but you just gave the strongest pick for Team Hazard over to Team Hazard. They have got to be delighted that they got the Rona pick for their side. Now we're going to see where the rest of this draft shapes up. We've seen Hazard, when they have the Sky, they banned away the Taka, but it is going to be a Petal ban instead for the side of Gangstars.
Absolutely. Petal taken off the board, which does lean... I mean, typically when you ban Petal, that usually screams, we're going to pick up the Krull, but with this Sky first lock-in, it doesn't seem like that strong of a pickup for them. I mean, you can send Sky weapon power in the lane, but then double weapon power,
I could see it working just against the Rona because you have then the Sky, the weapon Sky we've seen do well against the Rona early on, and then you have a Krull to just try and get those weakness stacks applied, but it's not going to be a factor because Krull will be banned here, and so now you have to wonder, what was Gangstars planning on, because they're likely expecting the Krull ban after they banned the Petal.
Yeah.
It does leave open all the captains, so perhaps that was their decision there. They wanted to try and force the Krull ban so that they could have their pick of the litter when it comes to captains.
Could be something like a Rhyme. Maybe force your opponent to ban away that Krull so you can go with the Rhyme, and then Petal's gone as well. So the difficult matchups kind of take it away. And obviously Blackfeather also off the board. Rhyme could have kind of his pick of the litter during this game if that was locked in.
He could, but it still can become a little bit difficult later on in the game. Then you're forcing the weapon power Sky, which Rhyme is going to kind of want to go a little bit later against the Rona, and I think it was mostly to get their pick of the litter when it comes to the captains. They do choose to grab themselves the Lyra. This makes the Arden pickup a little bit less appealing for a Hazard if that's the way they want to go. I could see them going for a Grace instead and just having that Divine Intervention to heal up a Rona as things get dicey. But the Arden could still very much come out. It's just that strong of a pick that teams are willing to pick it up. But they are going to grab the Taka. So again, this counterplay focused draft that we have seen from Hazard all throughout the day. And they say, okay, you're gonna take the Sky to counter the Rona. We're gonna take the Taka to counter your Sky pickup. It's a very interesting draft style. We'll see if it plays out for them.
It's gonna be a bold strategy, Cotton. But Taka, definitely an incredibly potent pickup going into that Sky. And we've seen that, Taka, it's kind of a feast or famine hero. If you can do well, you can absolutely dominate a game, but at the same time, it can be very easily shut down, and if that is the situation, Taka often feels kind of useless during those later game team fights. Alpha, though, is the final pickup coming through for Xenotech, so it is going to be that weapons guy going on into the lane. How are we expecting this matchup in the jungle going to be going down, though? Because Taka coming through, this is the first time today we're going to see that.
Yeah, Taka has not been played very much in this entire season, let alone today and through these challenge battles. So it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. I think the early game aggression is going to have to come out from the side of Gangstars 100%. They need to win the early game because they're relying on the weapon Sky to be able to deal with the Rona. And we've seen what happens if it goes too late. All of a sudden, the weapon Sky doesn't have the level of impact that you need. You also need to be able to shut down this Taka. And early on, Alpha has the advantage over the Taka when it comes to securing camps and having that little bit of extra burst damage on demand. So there is the room there for both of the matchups on the side of Gangstars to have a winning matchup in the early game.
All right, so Gangstars looking towards the early game. That could be bad news for them, because so far in this series, we've had very, very long games coming on out. Let us know who you think will take this one using the hashtag Vainglory8. It's about time we jump into Game 4 of this series. Hazard a 2-1 up. Let's see whether this goes to 5 games or if Hazard have got this one.
Hashtag Vainglory8, Munchables. I think this could go either way. What an incredible series we have on our hands here. On one side, Team Hazard, who come in like a wrecking ball, just tearing teams apart. On the other side, longtime Vainglory or Gangstars, who now find themselves with their backs against the wall. Denomine, how is this going to play out?
This one's going to be a fun one to watch because we've really seen Taka fall out of the meta, but he is very good into Sky. And back in the Challenger Series, we actually did see Erica Kane pull out this Taka. Now, it was with the Saw. It was a little bit of a different scenario. But, you know, with the Rona, it can definitely be equally as effective in a team fight. And it's actually put Lulu here in the lane on the Sky. He's got a Crystal Bit and a Book of Eulogies.
What's up with that?
Is this going to be a double Crystal Power composition? That's what it's looking like. You know, if you were going to be a Weapon Sky, obviously you'd probably start with the Swift Shooter and the Weapon Blade. So easy choice from Hazard to buy defense here.
Oh, you got stealed! Erica moves in, takes the Elder Treant with one hit. Gangstars had all their abilities. Erica, one hit, steals that away. Now Xenotech, he's in the jungle. He'll find himself in a situation healed up by the Imperial Sigil with Erica trying to trade back and forth. Kiting over the top side, Prime Directive goes the wrong way. But Xenotech, he's doing just fine. He's healing up through these basic attacks of First Blood for Xenotech and Gangstars. That's a great way to start this game up. Now, Hello Kitty's drop down, Naisu dropping low, pops the Healing Flask. He's trying to trade here, but Xenotech going ham! Xenotech knows that he needs to win, and that's 2 kills early on. Hello Kitty, goodbye Kitty. He's over the wall, out of the fray. And a quick start to game 4?
Game 4, yes, because Hazard is 2, Gangstars have 1, and Gangstars again looking to push us to the end in this best of 5 series. They take 2 kills early, and that's a little, you know, that's pretty aggressive for a Skies early game. Obviously, with Xenotech and Mac Daddy pushing the early aggression in the jungle, and Sky didn't have
more aggression in the jungle. Denominate. Xenotech's in a bad place, but he gets a little bit of healing. Can he turn it around? Erica drops into the Kaku. He's staying on the edge of the board, moves in. Xenotech gets lit up and put down into the dirt, into the fray. It's going to go ahead and slow up Mac Daddy B trying to get back. They don't want to mess with that turret just yet, and Hazard will pull off of the chase. These teams just throwing blows here.
Yeah, and Xenotech getting ahead early is going to help Lulu get to the late game. And for Xenotech to... Oh, did he get that steal? Oh, no. That's a bad spot for you to be in now, Erica. Good work.
That Prime Directive almost caught Mac. Daddy B goes down to the Chitin. Erica really making the plays. Making Taka come alive here. He gets the attack for the movement speed. Dodges the Prime Directive into the Kaku. Erica showing us an incredible little Taka player right here.
Yeah, it's definitely some interesting play coming out of Erica. Going towards that Aftershock first. Again, we have seen this Taka come out of Erica before, and she played it very, very well. It was what they thought. They had a really heavy burst out of the Taka, and then the upfront, just constant barrage of bullets coming from Saw. It made it very difficult for them to be, for either one of them to be ignored. In the end, they were able to push through the wind. And that's kind of the same scenario here. Now, it's not quite as overwhelming as a Saw shooting you in the face, but we know how Rona gets once she builds up those breaking point stacks. She does do a little bit lower base damage, but she attacks faster. So once you've built up those stacks, you output that damage so much quicker. And you're able to build up the breaking point, transfer that damage around in the fight. Obviously, the red mist, the ability to heal up from the Serpent's Mask that Hello Kitty is very likely going to build, and the fortified health that comes through at the same time, make it very difficult for a Rona to be dealt with. And into an alpha, this should be a pretty easy matchup for the two of them, but they have to be able to get onto Lulu, who has fully now committed to going into this crystal build on the Sky. We have to see a Frostburn come out here. There's no questions this time about what the first item is going to be. If we don't get a Frostburn out of this Sky, then Rona and Taka are just going to have infinite freedom in these fights.
Yeah, you were looking for a descriptive where you went for infinite. I like it. I like it. There obviously will be a lot of freedom there. Denominate believes it will be an infinite amount, but I agree with you. They have to look to find a way to slow them down as they're moving back. Now, Lulu does go for the Dragon's Eye first. This means that the Sky is at least going to have pretty respectable damage as Team Hazard look to collapse on the Gangstars. You know, they're going to have to respect when they're running straight at the Sky.
Yeah, absolutely going to have to, but it looks like we might be getting ready to have some cheeky plays set up here in the lane.
Down in the dirt. The turret can't protect you. Mac Daddy B couldn't keep him alive. That's a tough place to be in. Erica, he's going to move down in the jungle. looking to maybe to find something there. Is in with the X-Ratsu. Bright Bulwark's down. Mac Daddy B trying to control the Mustache Brush. Drops the Sigil. Xenotech Core Charge. Procs the Aftershock. In there trying to trade the damage out as efficiently as possible. Erica dropping into the jungle here. You can't lock this Taka down. The flare comes out. He's already X-Retsu'd onto the backhand. He's already got your Treant there. He's already healing up. Now Erica moving forward, kiting over the top. He's going to go back. Death from above, trying to zone them out. Niso getting lit up, but he has the fountain. It's X-Retsu right back into the fight. He's in. He's out of the fight. Hello Kitty just looking to pick a target. Xenotech has his ultimate, has that termination protocol ready to go if he should choose to get in there. But look at this. Erica's just like a one-man wrecking ball, but he's gone too far. Erica's down now. Hello Kitty is going to try to take down Lulu into the fray. He's on top. Hello Kitty takes him down. Red miss as he spins all over. Xenotech should be able to find the kill. Delivered right to him. And Nisu, it's split apart. Nothing he can do to help his ally. In an interesting situation. Nisu, you're going to get out of this one, right? Uh-oh, Prime Directive catches him. Denominate, I'm just waiting for you, a chance to give you the mic, a little bit of analysis of these teams. They just want to keep fighting, just back and forth, back and forth. Xenotech, another kill, 3-1-2. Xenotech having a big game.
Yeah, Xenotech, is a good start. He's able to keep that aggression up. Now they're on Erica. Can they find another kill?
What's it going to be? The X-Retsu in. This is Mac Daddy B dropping low. He does not have his fountain. He moves back. Erica, have you been baited in? No, Erica's going to be just fine. This is Hello Kitty just farming under his turret and not going to be looking to get too aggressive just yet. This Rona needs to come online.
Yeah, it's going to take some time, though. We know Rona really needs to get pretty substantially into her build. The Serpent's Mask is complete. That's the first step. But the breaking point needs to come out. And then what makes Rona so strong is the defense. She's able to build Erica!
Lulu! Look at the huge damage coming out there. The turret actually helps find the kill. Mac Daddy B getting the last hit for that one. Hazard, they're in a bad place. That was Lulu almost going down, but the healing out of Mac Daddy B keeps him alive.
Yeah, and these are the heroes that Mac Daddy really excels heavily on. Are the healing supports, the Grace, the Lyra. Back in the day, he was really good at Adagio as well. So it's kind of just his play style, that true full support kind of play style, and it works out so well for them. And that's another good utility that this Lyra has. That Imperial Sigil and Bright Bulwark can reveal a Taka if he's coming around the fight invisible, as well as if timed correctly, Mac Daddy can actually cancel out the X-Retsu from this Taka, which is going to take a large amount of the burst that Hazard have out and allow Lulu to turn that pressure around. He has gone with the Dragon's Eye first item, and I'm pretty concerned about this because it's not going to be doing anything towards limiting what this triple melee composition has to do. And from that's why we see Xenotech with the scoreline that he has. He's been the most influential in the fights. Even Mac Daddy, I feel, has had a little bit easier of a time restricting the enemy's movement. We're going to have to see how it ends up panning out. If you're not able to keep a forward barrage onto Taka or Rona, then that's going to be lost damage, and you're going to have to wait for your cooldowns. You're going to have to use your Suri Strike to reset your cooldowns and not defensively, and that can be a pretty risky way to play Skye.
Oh, turret's down. Death from above connects onto Nisu, but there's nothing really to follow out. At least I don't think Gankstars are going to follow that up. And yeah, I think you make some really good points there. Also, I think you're going to have to keep in mind, they're going to have to build a Broken Myth at some point, right? The shielding is going to stack up against them, so this item is almost forced.
Yeah, absolutely is, and now Xenotech, I'm wondering where this extra chronograph is now. So we already have the Aftershock complete. He's not finished a Dragon's Eye. Got a heavy prism and a
Xenotech's indeed. Oh no, Xenotech, you gone too far. Termination protocol, a little bit of damage, but Xenotech's just getting wrecked. In fact, they jump over the wall. They're already going for Lulu. He's trapped inside the gauntlet. Hello Kitty. Here's my X-Retsu. They chase forward with the kite, and I think that's Boots activated. Lulu kites back underneath the turret. Mac Daddy B taking a lot of damage as well, still holding the fountain here. Lulu, a little Suri Strike action. Erica taking a lot of damage here. Will drop into the Kaku, gets a little bit of healing. The Bulwark goes down. We'll pull him out of that Invis there. This is just Suri Strike and forward Barrage City. Lulu has to clear out the wave and react to the movements out of Hazards just constantly.
Absolutely. Hazard, they're taking the advantage early on here. And, again, it's very easy when the enemies are going with the same damage type for their carries to build defense. In this case, double crystal power. It's very easy for Hello Kitty to say, okay, we're going to go with the Aegis. Same with Erica Kane, going to go with the Aegis. I actually would not be surprised if one of them doesn't go into a second fountain, just because it does have that additional shielding to it, as well as would give your team a little bit of additional heal, because there's not a lot of burst damage that comes out of Skye. It's very sustained damage and then break, and then sustained damage and break. Xenotech is going to have the burst, but if you're able to counteract anything that Lulu's able to do, then it's so much easier for Hazard at that point, because they have two damage sources, to jump onto Lulu and really force him to commit to both defense.
Yeah, this is it's an interesting call. Obviously, they're going to start building up that defense here, and the question is how Lulu going to play it around these fights. There's the Broken Myth coming out for Lulu, so a little bit of piercing here, and that'll be really nice for the Skye. And I'm curious, going back to Xenotech's items as well, like what's he going to complete here? It's a really interesting case with the items that he's actually picked up thus far, and a little bit different than what we've seen out of a lot of our alphas recently. Now, Mac Daddy B moves in. He realizes the gold miner's been taken up. He puts the minion candy down. And the jump in, the X-Red, so big damage onto Mac Daddy B. He's got the sigil down, holding the fountain. Nerves of steel here. Gangstar's moving forward. They're going to see if they can go and secure up their mid. Not going to get it. X-Retso in one more time. Mac Daddy B dropping low. They're going to jump into the fray here. How the... Mac Daddy B deleted! This is Taka just jumping in and around these fights. Lulu short to fall, and Xenotech can delay the inevitable, but will be going down as Team Hazard runs circles around Gangstar's.
Yeah, that was such a clean fight for them. And they focused Mac Daddy first. They were able to dive in. He is actually a fairly squishy target. Lyra does not have the highest health pool or the highest natural defense. Now, it does appear Xenotech is going into a Clockwork, which we also have coming out of Taka on this, on the side of Hazard. But that's going to be another objective now going over to Hazard, this gold mine. They don't get a second turret, which... that objective stays forever. Obviously, the gold mine disappears in 15 minutes. So getting an edge in gold, but maybe not pure objective push. And this is going to give them an opportunity for Erica Kane now. That's a finished Aegis working into... oh, nope, the Echo is even complete for Arden now. So Hazard, they're in a good spot for locking down this Skye.
Credit where credit's due. Nice's Lance was really clean earlier today. We saw a couple games where he was executing on it incredibly well. Here, I think his Arden's been doing pretty well, and I'm excited to see what he can do with some double gauntlet action in and around through these fights. It's really just going to lock Lulu down so hard. You got to burn that reflex. You just can't get caught down. You hold the second gauntlet. What's he going to do?
It's definitely a uncomfortable position for a Skye to be in. Someone who wants to use their movement to their advantage, and when you take that movement away from them, they're kind of left super vulnerable, especially with the amount of dive that the rest of the team has. So this Taka, who's already a threat to Skye, is now that much bigger of a threat when she can't Surrey strike away from that death grip. And now this fight might be getting ready to break out. It looks like Hazard are looking for it. That turret is so low, Humanist. They might just take down that turret and then look for the kills.
Oh, what a desperate situation to be in at this point. 14 and a half minutes in, Kraken will be spawning out on the map incredibly soon. Gangstars feeling tons of pressure, but have all of the tools to win this fight if they can put it together. They have all of the damage that they need. They just have to fight together now. Clockwork completed for Xenotech. How does this item play out? Why do you think he's built it here?
Well, it does give you some additional cooldown in your active camo, your termination protocol, as well as the it does actually get you up a little bit quicker. So as we saw in that last fight down by the gold or the Crystal Sentry, they weren't able to drop Xenotech while he was in his infinite reboot. They actually killed him when he came back up. And now when Xeno is the only one alive and it's very easy to focus him, that doesn't seem like it really makes a huge difference. But in the midst of a team fight, if Xenotech does use that termination protocol, he's going to reboot in that fight before Hazard are able to bring him down, even if they focus on him. So that's kind of the thing, is he's trying to get back to a point where he can re-engage in the fight, and then might even have that termination protocol ready again very shortly thereafter. He's sitting on a level 12 infusion as well. We'll probably see him pop that before the next fight, but Lulu is appearing to go towards a clockwork of his own. And while I like this on the Skye for the additional cooldown, the ability to dance around the fights heavily, I still would like to see a way to keep Hello Kitty off of your face, and that hasn't been the case.
Well, they jump in, they jump right back out. Mac Daddy B dropping that Bright Bulwark immediately. Death from above, about 13 seconds on cooldown. Expresso in. Erica getting left with the target lock, but Hilkaku out of that one. Gets the healing, repositions, looking for the engage in. Choke point turret starting to get lit up here, of course, by the Kraken. And as well, Nicey Shot doing a good job to frontline for his team, but he's taking a lot of damage. Erica jumps in, the stun coming down from the Gauntlet, but they just move back. There's the second Gauntlet stunning up Lulu on the edge, repositions back with a 3-strike. He's on to Hello Kitty, but Hello Kitty doing a pretty good job living through this. He'll get the Vanguard, but Xenotech, Lulu, you need to focus the target. Mac Daddy B dropping down low. Team Hazard, are they going to take down Gangsters right here with this push right now? Gangsters with everything on the line. Xenotech, get in there. Lulu, make the plays. Can they do it? Hello Kitty, he's on to the last turret. Kraken's still alive, the nominee. Gangstar's just living on the edge. The Vein Crystal dropping down low. Lulu, he's going to be here with Erica. Erica's just trolling him out with the recalls. The Kraken's still alive. Nothing Lulu can do. And hello, Team Hazard. Good night, Gangstars.
That was such a crazy series, and to see Hazard come out on top 3-1, this now eliminates Gangstars. So tomorrow's matchups, we're going to have Tempo Storm up against Vision Gaming. The winner of that is getting into the Vainglory 8. The loser will face off against Hazard for that remaining spot. This is such a crazy outcome, Humanist. It's been a pleasure to work with you tonight. I'm not sure, are you casting tomorrow as well?
Of course I am, sir.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all I've got to say about that one. Hazard coming through strong and bringing down Gangstars.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Gangstars, tough way to go out here, but they put up a good fight. Team Hazard look incredibly strong, some delicious gameplay. To see the Taka come out to nominate, that was really nice. You know, not a lot of teams willing to draft up this Taka right now. If they draft the Taka, they make it work. They have double mortal wounds on their team, and they just go to town. Nice shot coming through with the huge Lance plays earlier in the day. Now the huge Arden plays. He gets that double gauntlet with the stun onto Lulu at the end of this game, making it so easy for the Rona, for the Taka to just clean Gangstars up. Wow. I almost just need a moment of silence for Gangstars at this point. It's actually pretty crazy. And that was your moment of silence. And now, this is your throw to the analyst desk.
The moment of silence for the Gangstars, unfortunately being now removed down to the Challenger Series. It is going to be Hazard moving on forward to tomorrow's games. They managed to take this series 3-1 in the end. Massive congratulations to Hazard, keeping their tournament lives alive and pushing on forwards, and has to be said, the most convincing game of this entire series so far.
Yeah, absolutely. They took control of this one. The counter pick play, their counter pick draft style that Hazard brings to the table, working out in full colors here. This is exactly the way that this team likes to draft and likes to make their compositions work, by just saying, okay, we're going to force you to pick certain things and then counter them with our next selections. It is a very strong draft style that they are able to bring to the table, and it's one of the reasons why they are still in the challenge battles at the moment.
Absolutely. They are going to continue to plow on forward in our challenge battles. They will be playing tomorrow. But let's take a look at some of the moments from that game. Starting off with Gangstars kicking the game off strong. They had the first blood and a double kill around 1 minute and 20 seconds into the game.
Yeah, and they were able to, first of all, they had the Treant stolen. Taka just walks up and takes it. But then they respond in kind by just continuing to throw this aggression. I think, maybe it was Erica Kane feeling a little bit overconfident after stealing away the Treant and still trying to turn back into this fight. but just went a little bit too heavy on it, and it ended up with Gangstars finding these couple of kills, and it started off looking very strong for them. But as Humanist said at the end of their broadcast, there is the Gangstars, they put up a good fight, but, and I feel like that was kind of the story of Gangstars all season long this season, was that they put up a good fight, but, and it's that but that ends up being the big problem for them. They were unable to really find the victories that they needed. They would get a win here and there, but never putting together a series victory for themselves when it matters.
Absolutely. You can see Hazard there managed to grab themselves a kill in that replay, and then trying to pressure onto the turret. And the thing is, this game started off similar to some of the other games where we had a lot of kills going on through. We had a very even matchup to start things off, as Xenotech, I believe, does manage to finish off this kill in the end. Or Mac Daddy actually maybe going down on this one. Hazard doing an excellent job, and I have to say, I already mentioned it a couple of times, Erica Kane doing an amazing job across the course of today, not just in this series, in the series before as well. But it felt like while it was back and forth towards the start of the game, the later it went on, Hazard started to come into their own, and this one ended a lot quicker. Let's take a look at the next clip, which was Hazard again managing to grab themselves an ace, I believe, at 6 minutes.
Yeah, and again, the decision-making from Hazard, and especially on Erica Kane, obviously, to start this replay off, is still waiting to respawn. This was Gangstars able to get that first kill, but then all of a sudden this Rona pick answers with one of their own, and they trade back and forth. It just became so difficult for Gangstars to really get an advantage or take advantage of the kills that they find, because every time it felt like they were able to find a kill, it got traded back by members of Hazard, which prevented Gangstars from really being able to find, objective advantages when they were able to take kills.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, that wasn't the Hazard ace I was talking about, but we do have that replay lined up, because this was really the turning point of the game, where Hazard managed to really grab their hands onto this one. They finished the game in 17 minutes, so this was the point where they kind of put their foot on the accelerator, and this was a gauntlet that you wanted to talk about here on the desk.
Yeah, a beautiful gauntlet placement, and it enables the rest of the team to make the plays. That's what makes the gauntlet so good here, is they drop it down. Gangstars want to disengage, and the only way for them to do so is to walk into the gauntlet. It gets 2 stuns, but as soon as a target gets stunned, Taka jumps on them immediately, knowing that they don't have anything to be able to stop the burst damage that's about to come out. And it was so well placed, just because of the fact that it cut off all retreat options for Gangstars in that situation.
And this is the thing we saw, Erica, on that Taka. We said it right before the game. It's a feast or famine hero. This game was absolutely a feast. Let's take a look at the end of the game as well, as Hazard managed to finish things off here and push things on in alongside their Kraken.
Yeah, once they wait for the Kraken to come in, they don't overextend, as we've seen happen. Gangstars did it a couple of times this series alone, but Hazard, they wait for the Kraken before they really commit to this fight, and they're able to make it work by just being patient and just waiting for Gangstars to come a little bit too far forward, and then finding their opportunity to dive onto the targets that they needed. You see a couple of them going low, but this double gauntlet again, beautiful gauntlet placement by Naisu Shot, just to make sure that they get those stuns and they impact the team fight and allow Taka and Rona to get the damage output that they need.
Absolutely, and while everyone's dancing around the fight, Hello Kitty is able to just wing out this damage across the course of things and just get onto those turrets, and that was the end of the game coming on through, and Hazard managing to keep themselves alive. A convincing victory, a convincing couple of victories coming out from them across the course of today. 3-0 to start things off, and then a 3-1 against Gangstars as well. Hazard, it has to be said, are looking incredibly strong heading on into tomorrow. But that is going to wrap up our second series of the day, and that is going to wrap up our 2 decider games coming on through in the lower bracket. And that means let's take a look at our bracket going on into tomorrow's games here in North America. We'll first be jumping on into Tempo Storm against Vision Gaming. Obviously, neither of them was on stream today. They're in the upper bracket. The winner of that will go on into the Vainglory 8. And the loser of that will move on into the second game we'll be playing tomorrow, which will be against Team Hazard and the losers of game number 6. So, 2 best of 5 is going to be hitting your screens tomorrow once we kick off with the Vainglory 8 at 2 p.m. PST for North America. And both of those games will be deciding not only a team to go into the Vainglory 8, but also potentially a team to be dropped down, certainly in that second series. But we'll have to see how that one is going to pan out tomorrow. Make sure to join us for that. But also, the European games are going to be hitting your screens tomorrow as well. That's 9 a.m. PST that is going to be kicking off for Europe. And we can take a look at the bracket of what happened earlier on today and what's going to be going on tomorrow. Clash were on an absolute rampage earlier on today.
Yeah, Clash just looking so strong in these relegation matches, able to survive all the way through, much like Hazard did in North America. But they were very decisive and dominant in their games. A 3-1 and a 3-0 coming through today.
Absolutely. And then we're going to be starting off tomorrow with Queso going up against Calamity Reborn. And the loser of that will be going up against Clash. The winners of those two series will be going into the Vainglory 8. And we'll find out who they are going to be tomorrow. That's going to be starting at 9 a.m. PST. Make sure to be there as we're going to be discovering our 4 new teams in the Vainglory 8, both in Europe and in North America. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you first thing in the morning.